confirming an endless working relationship between EMPD and Vusimusi Cat Matlala's security company, Cat VIP Protection. The deal would subsequently see Matlala fitting several of his private security vehicles with blue lights, allowing him to operate with impunity across Gauteng. Retired EMPD Deputy Commissioner Rivo Spies, who is currently working for Tshwane Metro Police, says the use of blue lights should be for strict use by law enforcement officers only.
The restriction on selling of these lights should be prohibited.
Matlala is also the subject of a separate case where he's accused of orchestrating a hit on his ex-girlfriend, socialite and actress Tebogo Tobojane in 2023. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
South African presidents and prominent politicians are expected to form part of the witnesses who will take the hot seat at the judicial inquiry into the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. The inquiry kicks off in Newtown in Johannesburg today. In May, President Cyril Ramaphosa established the commission to investigate allegations of interference in the prosecution of TRC cases. It's been 30 years since the TRC held hearings led by Archbishop Desmond Tutu, but of the 3,000 cases that were referred to the NPA for prosecution, virtually none have made it to court. Khomotso Modise reports.
Over the years, it's been alleged by some, including former NPA head Advocate Vusi Pikoli, that former President Thabo Mbeki and his administration actively prevented prosecutors from pursuing TRC cases. Now, with the Judicial Commission into the TRC, both men will have to take the hot seat and explain themselves. While some alleged perpetrators and family members of victims will also testify, the Commission insists this will not be a rerun of the original TRC. Spokesperson Lionel Ardendorf.
The terms of reference of the TRC cases inquiry is to establish why it is that cases that were referred to the SAPS for investigation were never investigated and prosecuted.
Because the Commission was prompted by a 167 million rand lawsuit by 24 families who've taken government to court over the lack of prosecution of TRC cases, those families will be among the first to testify. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News.
The Jacob Zuma Foundation has again accused the state of abusing its power as a trial against the former president's daughter, Duduzile Zuma Sambutla, begins today. Zuma Sambutla is charged with incitement to commit public violence and terrorism for her alleged role in the July 2021 unrest, which was sparked by her father's arrest. More than 300 people died during the riots in KZN and Gauteng, while the damage to infrastructure and looting cost the economy billions of rands. The trial is expected to run for the next 2 weeks at the Durban High Court. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports.
The Jacob Zuma Foundation says it charges against the daughter of its patron is a political ploy. The foundation says her father, the former president, is actually the state's target and that his children are being prosecuted for their association with him. The foundation has even gone as far as labeling it as the harassment of Zuma and his children. Duduzile Zuma Sambutla, who was released on warning in January, will return to the dock this morning for the long-awaited trial. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Durban.
And prominent Zimbabwean opposition leader Job Sikhala is set to appear in the Pretoria Magistrates Court today following his arrest in the capital. The former Citizens Coalition for Change MP was taken into custody on Friday after explosives were discovered in his car while travelling in Pretoria. Sikhala was arrested alongside a 78-year-old man. Alfra Mushwana has more.
Police received a tip-off on Friday morning that two men travelling in a grey Ford Fiesta were carrying explosives and other dangerous material. When officers tracked down the vehicle in Pretoria, they discovered that one of the suspects was Zimbabwean politician Job Sikhala, who is known for his criticism of President Emmerson Mnangagwa. Police spokesperson Athlenda Mate says 26 blasting cartridges and 15 capped fuse connectors were found in the car.
The pair have been arrested and will appear before the Pretoria Magistrate Court on Monday, facing a charge of being in possession of explosives.
This is not the first time that the Zimbabwean politician has found himself on the wrong side of the law. Last year, the Harare Magistrates Court found Sikhala guilty of inciting public violence that erupted following the murder of activist Mo Blessing Ali in 2022. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $4,063.43 an ounce. The rand is at 17.27 to the dollar, 22.72 to the pound, 19.97 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $64.12 a barrel.
In Irene, accident scene R21 northbound. This is before the Flying Saucer interchange, causing about a 20-minute delay all the way from Napiers Drive. Further down the R21, leaving Kempton Park, there's slow-moving traffic in Tembisa. R21 northbound, approaching Olifantsfontein Road, and in the Calvin Alex area, roadwork still causing about a 20-minute delay. N3 northbound between Linksfield Road and the Baclue interchange.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 21 and 23. The top story in EWN this hour. The former Deputy Commissioner of Ekurhuleni Metro Police, Revo Spies, is expected to continue with his testimony before the Matlala Commission of Inquiry today.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7.
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Eight minutes after 9 o'clock. Thanks very much for joining us. You're on 702. I'm happy to be with you. Good morning. I hope you're well, and welcome to a new week. I suppose it started yesterday, but for us, it's a first day of the week, I suppose, and for you as well. I wish you the very best as you kick off and enter this new time slot, and at work, at home, for whatever it is that you'll be doing. I wish you all the best. My name is Thabo Shola Mashao. I'm in for Clement Manyathela. We are together till 12. The entire team is here. It's produced by Sinazo and Zintle. The technical producer is Abel. And we will be hearing from Sfiso Zulu about the very latest in Eyewitness news every now and then. Karabo Chali will tell us what's happening on our roads. And of course, you, the most important ingredient of this concoction. We can't do it without you. And we do it all for you. Please remember to stay in touch, to partake, to voice your opinions as you always do. I value them. I truly do. I may differ with some of them, but I truly value every single opinion that comes through. So I urge you to make use of our numbers and call if there's anything that you'd like to engage with on 011 883 0702 011 883 0702. Alternatively, you can just also send a voice note to 072 702 1702. To that very same number, please feel free to send your text messages as well. I'm not moving furniture, so the lineup of the show and the features are still the way they would be. We have an open line now up until 10 o'clock. And on the open line, I'd like us to touch on a number of things. These are the words that came from a young, now deceased learner from a school called El Shaddai Christian School, and this is in Sharpeville. This learner wrote this: "One day I will drink poison because they bully me at school." He took his own life, and this was not his first attempt. The story is in the Sowetan, and it was written by Herman Molloy. And it said that this is not the first time he attempted to take his life in September as well. Apparently, this learner was being bullied, 16-year-old learner was being bullied every single day at school. So this is a hill that I'm willing to die on. I'm willing to speak about this every single opportunity I get, because we need to save the lives of our children. And I'm wondering if a report has come through to you as a parent that your child is a bully. Were you jumping in defense of your child without even hearing the other side? What measures did you take? Were you enraged? Did you speak to your child? Did you reach out to the family of the bully? Of the bullied? Did you reach out to the bullied child at school and try to make them feel comfortable? Or did you nonchalantly just let it go and said children are children? They have to go through these things. We went through them. Children are dying. God forbid it would be yours and mine tomorrow. We have to confront it. We truly have to. I won't get tired of it. Even if I get 0 calls, I won't get tired of raising this issue of bullying. It is fine. No messages, no calls about it. It is okay. I'm willing to die on this hill. We have to do something as parents. You are ultimately in control. I know that at times we tell children to do this and they tend to do the other at school. Your child may be behaving like this at home, and at school they may be someone else. But you need to issue out a warning that if I hear that you are bullying anyone at school, if it comes to my attention that you are a monster at school, I will deal with you. It has to go there. They are not just teddy bears, these little sweetheart, these darlings that we spoil so much. They are monstrous to other kids, causing other kids to kill themselves. You have to confront it, lest it be yours tomorrow. You have to. You really have to face it head on. I call, no calls, it's fine. I'm willing to die on this hill. I'm willing to die on this hill. We can't just let it go. Can you imagine you sitting at work or you're at home and you get a call as a parent that your child died? And when you get to investigate that your child died because of some other little rascal at school who was bullying them every single day. Oh, well, it's a call that I'm not willing to take. We must confront this as parents. You bear some responsibility. Driving in your beautiful SUV right now, going to your cushy offices right now, calling us about Jacob Zuma and corruption and the 9 wasted years. Deal with your kids. Deal with your kids. We're tired of it. Deal with your kids. How? We are so moralistic on everything else. Brown Mohotsi, this and that. But our own kids are killing other kids. That department, we are so inept, so incompetent. But we are the first to be vocal about government's incompetency. Deal with your kids, guys. Deal with your kids. Deal with your kids. And please do call. Do call. Do call, because I expect your calls as much as we get them when we're dealing with corruption, when we're dealing with Matlala Commission, when we're dealing with the IDAC issues. Let's also see if we can take the same responsibility that we want others to take when it's bigger issues. Because we have convenient morality in this country. When it's facing us, we are just, pushing it away. But when it's about other things, oh my goodness me, we wax lyrical about how things should be. This is not right. No, the country is going to the dogs. Now let's deal with you at home, your own politics at home. Let's see the same enthusiasm. And that's why this country is becoming what it is, because our morality is just a facade, just to seem good, just to pretend that we are people who are upright. When it matters most, we don't show up. We don't show up. How is it that kids are killing other kids and we are there? I'm not willing to tolerate that at all. At all. 011-883-0702. Let's hear the same amount of enthusiasm. 011-883-0702. If you'd like to share your views about it, it could be that you're a parent of a bully. Also, call in. And by the way, these things don't only happen in the far-flung schools, the no-fee paying schools, the poorest schools of the poor in the country. It happens in the most affluent schools, in the lushy suburbs like Sandton and Bryanston, and the parents cover it up because these schools have got communications people who will deal with the media nicely. You're protecting the reputation of the school, not the lives of children. We have to out it, guys. We have to out it. We have to do better. We truly have to do better. Let's start in our own lives. We have to do better. We have to do better. Is that how we're raising our kids? I mean, this child is that. How many times have we spoken about bullying? Now there's another casualty. That's why I'm saying I'll never get tired of raising this issue. I'll never get tired. I'll raise it each and every single opportunity I get to be on air. I'll raise it because clearly something is not landing. There's a message that's not landing somewhere. or you can send a voice note to 0727021702. Apologies for venting like that. It is just so emotional. I'm just thinking as a parent, you get a call that your child died because some idiot was bullying your child persistently. I don't like that at all. Well, those are some of the issues that we'll be dealing with on the open line. And did you hear? I mean, I don't know if you read the Sunday World yesterday. It had a very interesting piece, and it was written by Ngwakomalachi and Mawande Amashabalala. And they were saying that the Office of the Inspector General of the Intelligence has asked the police minister to plead with cabinet to change legislation to allow the intelligence community to intercept your WhatsApp messages. Because apparently now they're unable to do so. But now the Inspector General is saying that because of crime and various other factors, it is very important for the police to snoop into your WhatsApp messages. Guys, what are you going to find in our messages? Just our private chats. But I think there's something there too. I mean, it speaks about a very interesting issue of your individual rights versus the security of the nation. Are you willing to compromise your individual right to privacy in order for a broader community, a bigger nation, to be safe? Is that something that you're willing to do? Let me know. That's on the open line, and many other things as well. By the way, on a little bit lighter issues after my sordid ranting, we were having just an argument before I walked into the studio. Not an argument, a very interesting discussion about salaries in South Africa. And some individuals that we work with, some are producers, some are technical people, some are presenters. And they were saying, hey, salaries are not good at all wherever people are working. I won't mention any names. And I said, hey, you'll also laugh if you had a sight at my salary slip, and it was all a joke, but it made me want to think and to ask you this question: are you happy with the salary that you are getting wherever you are working? Do you think that you're getting your money's worth? You're getting value for the hours that you're putting in, and your bosses are paying you appropriately? Because Business Tech was reporting the other day that South African salaries have risen for the 6th consecutive month, highlighting a gradual improvement in economic activity and reflecting the labor market's resilience. And the latest Pay Inc. net salary index reached 21,428, which was 0.3% up on August level and 2.3 higher than a year ago. Are you one of those people who are now earning better as a result of the improvements that have been happening in the country, or are you still getting peanuts? Are you still getting some chump change? Let us know on 011-883-0702. Just after 10 o'clock, I'll speak to Musi Maimane, he of Build One South Africa, but he'll be representing United for Change. They are opening recruitment process for councillors to contest the municipal elections, and you may be interested to be one of their councillors. We'll chat about that at 10. After 10:30, the U.S., as you might have heard already, is set to boycott South Africa's G20 summit, and they are going to pull a no-show. None of the officials will be there. How is it going to affect us as a country? I'll speak to Dr. Faith Mabera and John Stremlau about that. Family Matters is still here, 11 to 12. How to help loved ones dealing with addiction. It could be gambling. It could be nyaope, it could be medication, it could be all sorts of addiction. How do you help them? Because there's a lot of shame that comes with expressing to people that you have a family member or you yourself are struggling with an addiction. Abel, the show has officially begun at 20 minutes after 9.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
Happy to hear from you. 011-883-0702. After my boring soliloquy, it's your chance to interact with me and to interact with the rest of South Africa in the 702 land about your thoughts. Let's start first with Jackson, who's been holding for quite some time. Thanks for your patience, Jackson. You're in Sandton. Morning.
Yeah, morning, sir. How are you doing?
I'm free. Thanks for wanting to know. How are you?
Great.
Yeah.
I just want to find out from you. You say that if you're a parent of a bully, you should have conversations to the effect of, if I ever hear that you are bullying other kids, I will deal with you. What does deal with you mean in the context that we live in currently, where you cannot beat up your child? What kind of corrective action can you take against such an act that would lead to the death of another person? I just want to understand that as one part of my question. Number two, we all know we cannot control what people do, what kids do, but we can help with our children's response by teaching them things like resilience and emotional fortitude in the home, which is basically how we raise our kids, not like the eggs that we raise these days. But if you also mentioned that previously these things used to happen, and it's true, but we never saw as many people commit suicide because of bullying at school. What is the difference? What made the difference between the older generation and the newer generation? And what can the newer generation learn from the older generation if we remove all the fluff? Because we have to remove all the fluff, because their lives that are getting impacted, their lives getting lost because of this issue, and we like to pussyfoot around it and treat it with kid gloves, and we don't want to speak about things like resilience in children and mental and emotional fortitude in children, which are things that should be instilled in the home. I would like to hear your comment on that.
Thanks very much for that, Jackson. I wanted to listen intently so that I can internalize what you were saying. And I'd like to believe that I did that. The first question that you raised. What can you do to a child? Perhaps you don't even know that they're a bully. And it's your child at home. Well, you are saying that given that you cannot physically handle a child, we're not allowed to do that because it's assault. And generally, I'll own it. I don't encourage it as well. What can you do? There are many things that you can do. There are plenty of privileges that your child would love to have. Lunch money, their child maybe loves a lot of TV. They love their cell phones more than they love their parents now. You can withdraw any of those and you can be stern. That is not to say that you must pussyfoot, as you've said, around issues and talk to them nicely and curdle them nicely. No, you can just tell them, what you're doing is absolute nonsense. I'm not going to tolerate it in this house. Bring that phone right here, right now. And bring all those things here. Your TV will be switched off. And from now on, I want you at home at this time. That's what you need to do, I think. You need to be stern. You need to be very forceful when you say all those things. And it's not only beating up that sorts out a child, by the way. It's not only hitting a child. So that's one part of the question. I don't want to have just a match between you and I. The last question that you asked, emotional fortitude, teaching a child, all of that is all well and good until they find someone who is bigger than them, who can punch them and drop them with just a single shot on the face. Where is emotional fortitude? They must stand up and not report it. They must stand up and then just go home. But don't do that. You called, Jackson. Don't do that. I was taking your issues seriously, ne? When I talk, you go, that's not nice.
No.
Yeah, but no. Hold on. No. I'm addressing you on that. It's not nice.
Right.
I could be condescending to you as well because I don't think much of your views, but I respect
I thought
that.
I was offline. I thought you dropped me.
Yeah, no, but that's not right. That's not right because I could be condescending. You'll report me. Let's come back to the issues. Yeah, that's okay. Apology accepted. So all I'm saying, no, accept it. Let's move on. All I'm saying is that, Jackson, emotional fortitude is all well and good, but the other child must also know not to beat up other kids, whether they are emotionally formidable to withstand the criticisms. Yes, your child must be able to withstand criticisms. If they say you've got a big head, your ugly nose, all of that. And lastly, where you and I come from, these issues were not reported in the media. They were not reported as we are doing right now. It's a different era. That's why it seems as if there's an increase. But they were happening, believe me, even back then. Last bite, and then I have to move on, Jackson.
Okay. When it comes to the typical answer that we get when it comes to ways of administering discipline to kids, the answer is always there are many ways of doing it.
Yeah.
And these ways, people are doing those things. And what we do to discipline the children is we get the outcomes such as what we get in society today. You see, so back in the day, you would never get a child pulling a weapon on a teacher. It would never, ever happen.
It did happen, by the way.
Today, to what extent?
I don't have the numbers, but they did happen. You remember the way kids were raping teachers in the 80s?
Yeah, but to what extent?
I don't have the numbers because
it's
they're not
the
reported.
same. Okay, all right, fine. But we live in a totally different a world where all the stats are going in the wrong way. You see, so even if you look at these kids, when it comes to depression, suicide tendencies, and the inability to withstand anything that flicks them.
Yeah, we have to leave it at that, Jackson. I think I was fair to you. Busi, you are in Dobsonville. Hey.
Hello, Thabo. How are you?
Hi, thanks for your patience. Thanks for holding. I'm free. I hope you're well too.
I'm good. Busi from Dobsonville. So I'm a mother to a child that was bullied in a school in Velgejevel. And the school actually protected the 3 boys that bullied my child. They actually beat up my child. And when I went to the school, I was told that they can't give out the details and all of that. I actually went ahead and got justice for Manaka. I laid a criminal charge on those boys. Those boys were 20 and 19, and at the time my child was 16.
Sure.
It went to court, and the magistrate and the investigating officer, they said, do I want to proceed with the charges? And I said, before I proceed, I'd like to meet the parents of those children. A meeting with the children. 2 of those parents came, and the 2 boys, the one child never came, never pitched. But how I was able to get help from Wanaka was through the police. What I realized is that the parents of those kids that bullied my child, they knew nothing about their kids. They were not even in touch, you know. And when I was probing and asking questions to the parents, they said to me they actually wanted to contact me because they found out what their kids had done. But the school said no. So my issue is that the school does not facilitate anything. They tell you that if you want to proceed with criminal charges, you can. And this is a private school, mind you. Fast forward, I was then asked, do I want to proceed? And I told those kids, Gary, I'm giving you grace. Today, I want you to understand what you have done. And you are now in varsity. And if I was to proceed, you guys are going to get criminal records.
Yeah.
And the one boy, the mom ran away from Joburg and moved to Durban because the father was abusive. The one boy, the dad is in Pretoria, is in the taxi industry. And in terms of age, they have no idea what their kids do in school. And on the day that the bullying incident happened, I went to the school and I saw those boys. And the boys that I saw at school and the boys that I saw at that Hanju police station, there were 2 completely different people. At the police station in Elisono, it was, I'm sorry. But in school, they were literally so evil. They even wanted to tase my child. They had a taser in the school.
Sure.
That's how bad it was. So what I'm trying to say is that I do agree with you that it starts at home. We need to discipline Bana Barona. We need to stop spoiling a child. Yes, it's got levels. But as a parent, Luena, you need to be aware and know what your child does. Know the how know where your child goes. Be in tune with the things that are happening in your child's life. Do not leave it to the school or the teachers to raise your child.
Busi, we have to leave it at that. Apologize completely. Kustas and others, please bear with me. After the news headlines, I'll go straight to you and take your calls. It's exactly 9:30. Sfiso Zulu will give us the very latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Good morning. Welcome, Sfiso.
Thanks, Tabo. Good morning. 8 people have died in a crash, including children near Scottsburg in KwaZulu-Natal. The Transport Department says the crash on the N2 involved a truck and a buggy. It's understood that the buggy rear-ended the truck that was moving in the slow lane. The police department hopes visits to Westbury and Rekha Park today will help deal with the crime following mass shootings in both areas. People are calling for interventions to tackle violence that's fueled by drugs and gangsterism. Acting Police Minister Firoz Kachalia alongside other top brass will have discussions with residents. And prominent Zimbabwean opposition leader Job Sikhala is set to appear at the Pretoria Magistrates Court today following his arrest in the capital. The former Citizens Coalition for Change MP was taken into custody on Friday after explosives were discovered in his car while driving in Pretoria. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage in the Irene area, we're still dealing with that accident scene on the R21 northbound before the Flying Saucer interchange, causing heavy delays all the way from Nelmapius. In Tembisa, traffic also a bit sluggish on the R21 northbound approaching Olifantsfontein Road. In the Calvin Alex area, we still have those roadworks causing about a 20-minute delay. This is on the N3 northbound, actually about a 30-minute delay. On the N3 northbound between Linksfield Road and the Batlu interchange. In Edenville, travelling towards Bedfordview, there's slow-moving traffic. R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
Are you a member of the MK party or did you just vote for the MK party?
No, not a member. I just voted for the MK party just to spite the ANC out.
William, you voted for whom and why?
Africa, I voted Patrick Alliances, but I feel like it's fair because now what we've seen in the Matlala Commission, how they're exposing the 50% tax is working coming out.
Zuki, if an election was to be held tomorrow, do you know who you would voting for?
No, I think in the last election. Listen, I have an idea. I have a short list.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, unfair blacklisting, or an uncontested divorce, Clientele Legal offers professional legal services to all South Africans. Our plans are affordable, and you receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our nationwide legal teams are standing by to support you 24 hours a day. Plus, all plans include a 5,000 Rand bail benefit. Join today. SMS LEGAL to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Did you know that every time you shop and save with Better Rewards, you're supporting the Dis-Chem Foundation? Each time you swipe, not only are you rewarded, but a percentage of your purchase is donated to the Dis-Chem Foundation to support communities in need. All the more reason to sign up to become a Dis-Chem Better Rewards member. Support with every swipe. The Dis-Chem Foundation, caring for the community.
We get told to wait for things. Wait for the right moment. Wait for a rainy day. Wait till the cows come home. Cows? Really? Well, the waiting is over because the Decofurn Furniture Black Friday Super Sale is now on, and with 15 to 40% and more off everything for the whole of November. What are you waiting for? The Decofurn Black Friday Super Sale, now on, in-store or at decofurnsa.co.za.
In case you missed it, 702 was in conversation with Santam about Santam's partnership with the G20, taking place in Johannesburg.
We are participating in the Disaster Risk and Reduction Working Group, and through that we are able to share some learning, good practices, and what we've got from our flagship program, like Partnership and Risk and Resilience. So we hope that the learnings that we are able to share share with the G20 countries were able to be utilized, most importantly, to emphasize the role of partnerships between government and the private sector.
Santam is a proud sponsor of the G20 Summit. Santam, this is freedom. Santam is an authorized FSP, a licensed non-life insurer, and the controlling company for its group of companies.
702
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
24 minutes to 10 o'clock. Clement is not here. My name is Thabo Sholemashao. I'm happy to be with you. And it's still an open line. Anything goes, by the way. I've raised the issue of bullying, and I see that many of you want to touch on that issue that we've raised. Feel free to do so on 011-883-0702. I've also asked about what you're getting at work. Your salary, is it really sufficient for the work that you're doing, or you believe that you deserve more? Let us know. 011-883-0702. I've also been neglecting about the voice notes. I think it's fair just to take 2 or 3, and then we'll take the people who've been holding for some time. Simnigiwe, Kamo, Kustas, Lintikile, Rakwena, will come back to you.
Thabo, good morning. You know, this thing of bullying is real. It's happening. For some of us who are so fortunate, Thabo, to be seeing this, who are serving in the SGB, you know, this thing is on the rise. It's happening and little is done about it. There was a parent just recently who came to school to protect and defend her child so much that, you know, he had butted the teacher because the teacher was simply saying, "We are requesting your presence to come and account for your child." It's a parent of the child who's abusive, who's a bully to other children. The parent instead, she fought the teachers. She had butted the teacher. Really, this is really a cause for concern. That parents, instead of, you know, solving issues, they resort to fight. So clearly, that tells you the child picked up from the parents. Joseph Rusli.
Hi, Mr. Thabo. Hi, Mr. Thabo. Well, the issue of bullying, I think it's a double-edged sword. Instead of teaching our children not to bully, I'd rather say teach them to stand up and fight for themselves. Because the world is cruel. So if you try and protect them and baby them a lot, the world out there is not as generous as we want it to be. So, for me, I went to a boys' school and bullying was a thing. And because of that bullying, I think I've developed a thick skin because of how much bullying was there. You could take and you also have to be able to give it. I don't know, but that's my two cents.
Morning, Tab on the team. Tab, you know, in terms of bullying, on this one, I want to blame the parents, and I know I'm gonna get that. I know we do teach them, but guys, bullying starts at home. Kids react to what they see at home. How the mother talks to the father, how they always shouting each other, arguing with each other. Obviously, kids see, they adapt. It's in their nature. Thanks, David.
Hey, Tara, thanks very much. 011-883-0702. It's all well and good to teach your child to fight back until perhaps now they become embroiled and they become a perpetrator in this thing. And they were defending themselves. The next thing, the other child, God forbid, loses their eye or limb or something else, then your child is seen to be a perpetrator. We must just stop other kids bullying. They must just stop. I don't know, but you let me know. Simnigiwe, thanks for your patience. Welcome. The floor is yours.
So I'm a mother to a 10-year-old daughter, and I believe that we are very close. So I do know most about the children at school, and there is this particular mean girl in her class. So what I did in the beginning, when the mean girl I don't think she targets my daughter, but she's just mean to everyone, right? And then in incidents where there'd be verbal bullying, like maybe, oh, they moved you from center to goal shooter in a netball, it's because you are this and this, the mean girl would say. And then I would just explain my daughter like the psychology behind the bully and how she must just avoid all of what the bully is saying and not take it to heart, right?
Yeah.
And I do teach her to stand up for herself. But this particular incident caused us, both me and my husband, to take it a step further for her to now be able to physically defend herself. So the bully, my daughter's friend, was tasked with handling a task for the whole class. So she was the leader of the girls in this class. And the friend has so much anxiety. How am I going to handle the bully? Because now she won't want to cooperate the bully. And my daughter comforted the friend, but no, just cooperate with whoever is cooperating. The bully came for my daughter. What did you say about me? What did you say about me? And my daughter, because I taught her how to defend herself, defended herself and said, I just told her, if you guys are not cooperating, she must leave you alone and just tell the teacher. And the bully spreaded rumors now after that, my daughter standing up to her, the spreaded rumors that, oh, after school is after school, she can't give me an attitude like that, right? My daughter then went back to the bully and confronted the bully, but I hear that you're saying after school is after school. What's going on? The bully then said, no, it's fine, but next time, if you give me an attitude, you will see what happens. That is now a threat. So we decided in that moment that we don't know if she can physically defend herself. She can only defend her, like she can only stand up herself in verbally.
Yes.
We taught her to be emotionally intelligent and stand up for herself verbally. So we took it a step further now, teaching her how to physically defend herself, because we can't have our kids walking on eggshell because of other kids. It's just unacceptable.
Simnigiwe, thanks very much for that. Let's leave it at that. Kamu? Kamu Njowe, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
All good, Kamu, you?
I'm okay, thank you. I'm a mother of a 9-year-old in one of the schools in 4 weeks. So beginning of the year, he started the school this year. In that school, I reported to the school to say there was bullying happening because he kept on coming back from school to say this specific boy is hurting me. Then I'll be like, tell the teacher. To a point whereby he told me that there was now 2 boys. He paired up with another one and they were attacking him. I went to school and they told me that the boys will be separated. One will go to another class, the other one, maybe their personality are clashing. That was fine. But unfortunately, it didn't stop. During break times, this boy will always hurt my child. They do the thing that they call it roasting. They will roast him and say all the bad things about his parents. And then as I reported to the school, he started being victimized on that because I was called about 2 months ago to say he had 3 boys. And I asked the school to say, can I please have the CCTV of where the event happened, because it didn't make sense that one boy will have 3 boys. And when we got the CCTV, we realized that those boys took his ball. He pushed one boy just to get his ball, and these 3 boys attacked him. When I asked, they said they are dealing with those boys separately and they will not give me the information of how they are dealing with the 3 boys. Currently, I'm dealing with a child that has been expelled from that school last week because of another incident where I'm called to school to say he hurt another boy. I said, okay, what happened? They said he hurt his back.
Yes.
And I asked to say, where did the incident happen? They say in class. I had a conversation with my son to say, what happened? He says, no, the incident happened outside with that bully who jumped over this boy's back and hurt his boy. When the time my son was in class, he was trying to massage him, or the fist way of massaging the back, and then they said, no, he broke his back. So I went to the school. They said,
we have to hurry it up and then go to other callers. Eventually, what happened?
So eventually he was suspended. When he's suspended, I asked for the CCTV of where the incident happened. The school is refusing with the CCTV of the playground. They're refusing with the incident report of what happened. But unfortunately, my son took the punch on it. He's expelled with immediate effect. A 9-year-old that is in grade 3.
Is it a public school?
It's a private school.
It's a private school. I'm hoping that you'll take it up and also inform the Department of Education. They can't just do that. You do know, even if it's a private school, ne? Do inform the Department of Education, please.
I am looking for the help.
Even if it's a private school, the department has jurisdiction over all schools, private or not. All the best, Kamul. Please keep us informed as to what happened. Kamin Joburg. Kustas, you are in Midrand. Hey, welcome.
Hey, Jabo. You're not going to get as many calls as we call for Brian Mokhot in this subject. When you talk about parenting, it hits closer to home. You see.
Yes. Now we have to put a mirror in front of ourselves, exactly. And we don't like what we see.
We don't like what we hear, what we see. Anyway, here's my parting shot, Tabo, without wasting much of your time. Look, I think I sympathize with parents really when it comes to managing their kids. I also do believe that we've got loose laws. Some things the schools are unable to deal with this matter. And I think we must just acknowledge that. But then again, the Department of Education has a responsibility to see to it that at the beginning of the year, there ought to be a strict code every child gets to know. If you bully another child, this was going to happen to you. And this thing of protecting bullies is not helping. Because it's true, parents then teach their kids to retaliate, which that's what I also did when I double. That's what I did. My son sorted up the mess, and I was happy. He saw that the school called me. I said, It was on this day, this kid is like this, and my son was happy. Afterwards, he never got bullied. I'm not suggesting that their parents don't, their kids those things, but I'm suggesting that we as parents, we cannot then watch our kids are being mistreated this way when the school doesn't do much. So we have to empower them. And now you're right, Tabo. You empower them and then they go overboard.
Exactly.
But which one is which then?
As a parent as well, I would want my child to be able to defend themselves if they are attacked, just to be honest. And true. Also, we can't, you're right. That's very unpopular to say, but we can't just sit back and watch our kids becoming victims, crying, wanting to kill themselves simply because you as a parent, you don't want to take responsibility and tell your child to stop bullying other kids. We can't just sit back and allow that to happen because we've got responsibility over our kids as well, and we need to make sure that they're protected and they're safe. So at times people will take action, and it may not be as kosher as we'd want it to be. But it starts at home, Kustas. Tell your kids, stop bullying other kids, or else there's going to be a problem.
That's true. But however, parents don't know these little terrorists.
Yes.
That's got this behavior. I can tell you,
these ninjas are horrible.
They are good kids. Outside of that is something else. But thanks for taking my call.
Thanks, Kustas. Always great talking to you. Lintikile, you've been holding for some time. I really appreciate it.
I'm Ramashau. You know what? Parents play a big role in children bullying at schools. This year, I'm in the school governing body, and I'm heading the discipline department. And when parents are called for a discipline in a school, parents already come ready to fight the lawyers and fight the SGB and the teachers. Instead of seeing parents, the SGB and the lawyers in the room as working together to help the child.
Yes.
Parents don't take it that way. And most of the time they will demand the videos. Yes, they do. Because they've got an agenda. They don't trust what the teacher is saying when the teacher says, this boy or this girl has done 1, 2, 3. So as parents, we must work with teachers and SGB members to shape the life. These are young people. We need to shape them together. But I also have to say, Tabo, there are parents who come in, and you can see by the entrance, by the door, when they enter with their children, that this parent is going to work with us. And most of the time, Tabo, it's always pleasure to work with those people. And after that, when they've left the room, now we are battling what discipline should we give this child. Because the parent was so nice. The parent was working with us. The parent was there. And so the discipline, we will say, guys, let's not be harsh. Let's help the father to help the child.
Lintikile, let's leave it at that. It's 11 minutes to 10 o'clock.
Part of the 702 family.
My name is France Gate. I've been in Johannesburg since 2004, and I accidentally got onto 702 listening to John Robbie because I'm a mad sports fan, but I cannot believe the quality of broadcasting that 702 has played in my life. It's added so much value to my curious nature, and 702 ticks all my boxes.
Welcome to our 702 family. Let's walk the talk.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow. That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an Actors-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Flight Centre's Big Red Sale is back. 21 October to 14 November. Save up to 50% on tours, 35% on cruises, and massive deals on Thailand, Mauritius, and the Maldives. Even local flights from 1,900 Rand return. Now that's a win. Plus, 2 kids stay and eat free on selected breaks. The world's waiting. The deals are calling. So, get to your nearest Flight Centre store today. T's and C's apply. Flight Centre, your centre for travel.
Looking for real ways to live greener? Then don't miss Green Tip of the Week, your weekly dose of sustainable inspiration. From eco-entrepreneurs to climate champions, we sit down with people making real change. Catch Green Tip of the Week every Tuesday on Afternoon Drive with John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m. Only on 702. Proudly brought to you by Volvo. It's safe to be brave with Volvo.
For more about 702,
go to primemediaplus.com.
Back with you again. I'll take your calls. Rakwen, I see your calls. Bonnie, you've been holding for some time. Very quickly. Good morning. My grandson is first year at varsity. He's got anxiety and low self-esteem. At his school private, there was a group of 5 boys who bullied other kids. We had to change him from that school. Good morning, Thabo. I grew up in the 80s, 90s. Bullying was rife even back then. The only difference is that there was corporal punishment at the time. Morning. Thank you for continuing this discussion. As a clinical psychologist working in a public hospital, I witnessed the devastating preventable toll of youth bullying every year through the sheer volume of suicide attempts and para-suicides we treat. Bullying is not a minor issue. It is abuse, and abuse has legal ramifications. When we minimize or dismiss the actions of bullies, we are actively enabling and reinforcing their behavior. We teach them that they can act without consequences. It goes on for a little bit longer. And let's go straight to your calls. 011-883-0702. Rakwena, Pretoria North, you've been holding the longest. Welcome.
Yes, sir. Morning, Thabo. Yeah, I wanted to contribute a few things here. This bullying, from my own viewpoint, is that we have got 2 issues here. You have got internal bullying at schools and external influence from outside. I'll start with the external influence from outside. You have got role models who are very bad, who support students at schools, who even provide resources for them. If you can look at the type of dress that the children have, school children have, phones, watches, and so on. And the other boys at school who have got weapons that they get from these external influence from criminals and so on, with drugs and so on. That's a very, and the other ones that have children, I mean, they will sleep with these young girls at schools, bless us, and so on and so forth. That's another sector that is there when you talk about bullying. When you ask your child to defend himself or herself, these other ones are going to report to those ones outside to say, well, we've got this one who's doing that. Then after school, they wait for that and they influence the whole thing. And inside the school, you have another sector now that is a problem. Some of the teachers are not morally upright,
Yes.
They will be sleeping with children and so on, and they'll be allowing all these things to happen. And you find in a school, some kids get pregnant from teachers. And then at the same time, you have other teachers who are now quite willing to work, but they are scared. Their cars are being banned or attacked and so on. and now they have to watch the show going on, and then there's nothing they can do. And now,
Rokwena, 100% right, 100% right. Bonnie, you are in Florida. You've been holding for some time. Thanks for your patience, Bonnie.
Thank you very much for taking my call. My grandson is 12 years old, and he's been bullied for 3 years already. We've gone to the school on numerous occasions. We've emailed, we've spoken to the teachers, we've did about everything. There's apparently a group in grade 6. Please explain this to me. In grade 6, there's a gang at the school that's threatening the children and stabbing the kids with a scissor. 2 days ago, we went back to the school again. We spoke to the principal, we spoke to the HOD, we spoke to the teachers, we spoke to even the teachers are bullying the children. How we in this world, have you heard about grade 6s walking around with scissors, keeping the children down that they want to stab and threaten to kill them if they go to the teachers or if they go to the parents?
Which school is this, Bonnie?
Can I mention the school?
Yeah, which school is it? Yeah.
Discovery Primary School.
I know that school very well.
Yes, Mr. Peters is the principal. We went, we had a meeting there. I said to him, how sure are you that you can actually guarantee my grandson's safety? This child has not been going to school. He's scared to go to school. They're writing exams. The bully still comes to school. What happens in grade 6s? Pulling someone down and literally wanting to stab them with the scissors.
Yeah, this is a school in the West Rand, right? On the other side of Florida, off Goldman Street. Not Goldman, but on Deckers, the other side of...
Correct, Abu, correct.
Yeah.
And you know what? If he's not being bullied by pupils, he's being bullied by the teachers. If he greets the one teacher, the teacher says, don't greet me, your mother will come to school to come and lay a case against me.
Now the teachers are participating in all of this now. No, and I'm happy for you to mention the name of the school, because the trouble that comes with mentioning it is nothing compared to putting them on the spotlight and making sure that they know that we know about their deeds and they must clean up their act. They must clean up their act. We are just too politically correct trying to cover up legalese over protecting lives.
And you know what? Don't tell me about the protocol. Protocol has to be followed. I said, are you going to only follow protocol when my grandson is laying dead on your ground?
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to say? You need to follow protocol now.
Well, they must come on board and share with us if they are refuting any of that. Bonnie, thanks for your time. I wish you the best.
Thank you very much for taking my call.
Yeah, knock on the door of the department as well, hey? What is it, D12 in Florida? You must go to them and bother them there. Near that Absa building, you must go to them and bother them.
Absolutely, thank you very much. Because I told I told them we're going to go to 702, we're going to go to the police station. He says, "Man, that's your prerogative."
Oh well,
that's
you must bother them. Yeah, please do that, Bonnie. And if it's not working out, let me know. I'm happy to bother the department on your behalf. Keep well.
Thank you very much.
Bonnie in Florida. Just very quickly, Abel, if you'd allow me to take one or two text messages that we got. In most cases, the SMS that came through on 072702 says, in most cases, parents are not even aware that their child is a bully. At home, the child is obedient, but at school, the child is a monster. That's why parents are defensive of their kids. Thank you, Tabo. No need to apologize. I always used to tell my daughter when she was younger that I will always protect her, especially from bullies. But should I hear that she is a bully, she will have me to deal with. I think it's time that we address this issue, and especially with parents of bullies. Coming from Geho in Pretoria, 10:50.
There's summer, and there's that extra summer with Vodacom's free gifts on summer deals. Like the new Honor X7D 256 gig on a 1 gig Red Core plan for just $299 per month over 36 months. And get a free Honor Watch 2i gift worth $999. Plus 5 gigs YouTube data for 3 months and free 2 months YouTube Premium. Now that's extra. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together, Vodacom.
As leaders in renewable energy finance, Nedbank has a track record spanning over 100 years. From pioneering large-scale solar and wind farms to financing complex energy infrastructure in emerging markets, Nedbank offers clients deep sector expertise, combined with the ability to navigate the unique challenges of Africa's just energy transition. See money differently. Nedbank. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. 8 people have died in a crash, including children near Scottsburg in KwaZulu-Natal. The Transport Department says the crash on the N2 involved a truck and a bakkie. It's understood that the bakkie rear-ended the truck that was moving in the slow lane. Transport MEC spokesperson Dabezinhle Sibiya.
It's very unfortunate that following a very quiet October month with no major accidents, now we are experiencing these fatalities.
The Jacob Zuma Foundation says the NPA has no case against the former president's daughter, Duduzile Zuma Sambudla. She is charged with terrorism and incitement to commit public violence linked to the July 2021 unrest. The widespread looting took place following Zuma's imprisonment for contempt of court, with his supporters demanding for his release. With Zuma Sambudla due to stand trial in the Durban High Court today, Foundation spokesperson Clement Manyathela says this is just clutching at straws.
The state is very desperate. All Duduzile did was to comment after the fact. She would go into Twitter and she would see some explosion happening somewhere and she would say, "We see you." Now, how is it possible for anybody that has got even 2% of a brain to say somebody that comments after the fact and then that somehow you've caused that thing?
Manyi maintains the case is politically motivated.
This is a continuation of that same theme of abusing the constitution, abusing the state apparatus just to deal with political adversaries.
The police department hopes visits to Westbury and Reiger Park today will help deal with crime following mass shootings in both areas. People are calling for interventions to tackle violence that's fueled by drugs and gangsterism. Acting Police Minister Firoz Kachalia, alongside other top brass, will have discussions with residents today. Ntokozo Khumalo reports.
In the past few weeks, 2 communities in the province witnessed tragic deaths. Last month, 7 teenagers were shot in Westbury and 2 died when gunmen opened fire at a suspected drug den. A little over a week later, a bloody incident was witnessed in Reiger Park, where the occupants of 2 vehicles released a hail of bullets, claiming 6 lives and wounding 3, including a child. The police anti-gang unit has managed to arrest 5 suspects connected to the Westbury shooting. Meanwhile, the attackers from the Reiger Park shooting are still unknown. Ntokozo Khumalo, Eyewitness News.
The ad hoc committee investigating police corruption is set to meet today to discuss its interim report on the work it has completed on the first 16 days of hearings. The committee will also receive a report from its evidence leader and technical team on outstanding consultations with witnesses still to appear, as well as its program for the next few weeks. The committee's next witness will be National Director of Public Prosecutions, Shamila Batoy, who takes the stand tomorrow. Babalo Ndenza reports.
Today's meeting follows the appearance of Investigating Directorate Against Corruption head Andrea Johnson, who testified on Thursday. The meeting will be mostly housekeeping before it resumes hearings with the appearance of National Prosecuting Authority head Shamila Batoy. As the head of the NPA, Batoy also has oversight control over IDAC, which falls within the NPA. Batoy will likely face questions on submissions on how prosecutors in the criminal justice system are compromised and face possible outside influence. The kidnapping and robbery of IDAC's head of operations, Matthew Sasoko, on Friday is also expected to be put to Batoy. Johnson confirmed that Sasoko had dealt with the investigations into crime intelligence officials, including his head Dumsani Khumalo and his co-accused, who were arrested on fraud and corruption charges earlier this year. Senzo Mchunu's chief of staff, Cedric Nkabinde, will be the committee's next witness on Thursday. Babalo Ndenza, Eyewitness News.
And prominent Zimbabwean opposition leader Job Sikhala is set to appear at the Pretoria Magistrates Court today following his arrest in the capital. The former Citizens Coalition for Change MP was taken into custody on Friday after explosive was discovered in his car while travelling in Pretoria. Sikhala was arrested alongside a 78-year-old man. Alfara Mushwana reports.
Police received a tip-off on Friday morning that
that two men traveling in a grey Ford Fiesta were carrying explosives and other dangerous material. When officers tracked down the vehicle in Pretoria, they discovered that one of the suspects was Zimbabwean politician Job Sikhala, who is known for his criticism of President Emmerson Mnangagwa. Police spokesperson Athlenda Mate says 26 blasting cartridges and 15 capped fuse connectors were found in the car.
The pair have been arrested and will appear before the Pretoria Magistrate Court on Monday, facing a charge of being in possession of explosives.
This is not the first time that the Zimbabwean politician has found himself on the wrong side of the law. Last year, the Harare Magistrates Court found Sikhala guilty of inciting public violence that erupted following the murder of activist Mo Blessing Ali in 2022. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $4,063.43 an ounce. The rand is at 17.27 to the dollar, 22.72 to the pound, 19.97 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $64.12 a barrel.
Joburg CBD, there's about a 20-minute delay. This is on the M2 westbound between Heidelberg Road and the Crown Interchange. We still have those roadworks in the Calvin Alex causing about a 20-minute delay heading towards Midrand. That's N3 northbound. Between Linksfield Road and the Blue Interchange.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 21 and 23. The top story in EWN this hour: 8 people have died in a crash, including children near Scottsburg in KwaZulu-Natal.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Live
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7.
And 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Seven minutes after 10 o'clock. Thanks very much for joining us. You're on 702. My name is Thabo. I'm in for Clement. We're together till 12. In the previous hour, you shared with us your views. They were heated, they were hot, they were flying all over the place. And I'm glad you did, because we needed to confront those issues. And that is not to say that the Matlala Commission is not necessary. And that is not to say that the ad hoc committee inquiry is not necessary. That is not to say other national issues are not important, but it is just to say that as individuals, as homes, as parents, we must also deal with these things, or else we have convenient morality. Because on one end, from the state, we demand ethics, ethical approach, moral standing, and everything else that is well, but in our homes, we don't do the same. So we're chatting about bullying and the children who are committing suicides as a result of bullying. What are you doing as a parent to make sure that your child does not participate in any bullying activities? Thoroughly enjoyed your views, and I see that they're still coming through on our WhatsApp messages. Thanks very much for that. But in a short while, we'll be speaking to Dr. Musi Maimane. They've opened up a recruitment process for councillors to contest in their municipal elections in 2026. 8 after 10.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
It's been a month since they launched their political alliance, and that was among Rise Mzansi, Bossa and Good. And these parties are now inviting candidates to avail themselves, based on merit, of course, and track record of community work rather than political affiliation, to avail themselves to become councillors. And as I said, it's been a month. Unite for Change, as an entity, it has been in operation, and the co-leader, Dr. Musi Maimane, joins me right now to expand and elaborate on the process of seeking for our local individuals to stand to become councillors in 2026. Dr. Maimane, thanks for your time. Welcome to 702. I hope you're well.
And good morning to all the listeners of 702. Thank you for having me.
Firstly, maybe let's start with the process. How do you anticipate it unfolding, where individuals in communities will then stand? Do they have to take up your membership? What is the criteria? How does it all work?
Well, I think we've described the type of candidate we're looking for, and I think that's an important almost qualifier or self-disqualifier, as it were. We're looking for people who are ethical. We're looking for people who already have a track record of having served in communities. We're looking for people who have a high level of competence, because what we cannot replicate is a situation a bit like when you have in KZN, when councillors, or in certain municipalities where councillors cannot even read audit statements or are illiterate. We're looking for citizens who say to themselves that ultimately they will work as part of a collective and be able to bring meaningful change in their cities, towns, or municipalities. So given that that's the criterion of the person, we've made the call out there for citizens, for their respective political formation, civil society, etc., to be able to put forward people. Once those people are put forward, they will undertake a vetting process so that we make sure they've got no criminal records, etc., and there's a whole process that goes behind that. They will attend to an interview panel that will sift through to make sure that actually we've got individuals who are of a particular caliber. We will then train them over the period of a year so that we ensure that when people get voted for and end up in councils, they're competent not only in municipal law and how municipalities work, but they're also clear in their sense that we've really tested that these are people who are genuine. They will require endorsements from their communities. This is a way of checking whether or not this person legitimately comes from a particular community, so that these are not individuals, as you see in typical political parties, where the party can say, this person now will become councillor for that, yet the people don't know them. And then furthermore, once we've done that, the ranking will result as a cumulative of a score that considers all the criterion I've put before you and the work that people have done in the year coming up. So that really is the nutshell of the process.
Do they have to be members of Unite for Change?
Well, principally, they will have to be members of Unite for Change, simply because when it comes to municipal law, to be represented, and at least so that over a long period of time the organization has oversight over them, they will have to join Unite for Change. But they don't have to have been historically a part of Unite for Change. They would have to do that because it's the principle of which what happens in, for example, if somebody then gets elected but doesn't do the actual work that they promised to do, there needs to be a mechanism that allows you to trigger off a way in which the community can remove them, you can remove them as an organization, and the only way to do that is on the leverage of membership.
Would you say that this is rather unique in a sense that there are various other political parties, as you would know, who claim that they also draw their candidates from the depths of the community, and they do not just take everyone else. They get the best from the community, and the community then presents this individual as a candidate. Subsequently, they are fielding people from the community. How is that different from what you are doing now?
No, well, first and foremost, we are establishing panels that are relatively independent to a new organization. Often political parties like to make this claim, but you soon discover that political patronage is the fundamental issue. The second is that I can speak, having been in many of the parties, often their regional conferences become then the dictum that dictates whether somebody is in fact going to be a councillor or a mayor. And I would argue that the dilemma of Johannesburg has got nothing to do with whether it's been governed well or not in these motions of no confidence. It's got everything to do with whether the regional conference is delivering people who now needs to take over the municipality. So I think, to me, you see a lot of this conversation in word rather than in actual practice. What I'm described to you is an elaborate practice that demonstrates that we've really opened our doors to say, let citizens who are competent, who come from communities, come on board.
How will you see to it that you do not attract rejects from other parties, disgruntled individuals, former comrades of other entities who are now rebranding themselves, and they are entrenched in the community, but whichever way they go, the community will still follow them?
In many ways, it's why you opened your process so early. We anticipate that next year's election, well, at its earliest can only be November, and its latest has to be by early January. So you open it now in this year so that you work through sifting out the weeds, you interview people, you check their credentials before you deal with the question of ranking. Then the last thing I would say as it pertains to this is that it will close probably for applications earlier on in January, so that you alleviate this issue. Because other parties, when you talk about rejects from other parties, what often happens is that once parties close their lists and somebody says, I was meant to be number 1 on the list of my party, but now I'm number 50, and clearly they're not going to have 50 people there, then they start to shop around. So the purpose of why you have a closure of this process is to avoid precisely the situation you are describing. But the ultimate other thing is that the advancement of time, starting early, means that you can work hard to avoid those situations, and you can truly put people to the test and say, how you want to be a ward councillor in this community? Does the community know you? Do they endorse you?
Yeah.
And once the lists are public, the community also has a way of giving you feedback, because I've been through elections for a number of seasons, Thabo, as you know, and you know the community itself also has the intellect to be able to say, but this person used to be in this party and they were useless there. What makes you think they'll be better here? So you can begin to sift all of that out, because the intellect, the intelligence from the community is what in fact helps guide the process.
Dr. Maimane, you have a BOSA coming together with Good and Rise Mzansi. Surely, in some instances, you would be faced with a difficulty where a Rise Mzansi, a Good candidate, or a BOSA candidate also fills for the same position in a same locality, and wherein subjectivity will be the matter for the day, because there will be some contradictions there. Who do you take? A very good candidate, there's a BOSA candidate, there's a Rise Mzansi candidate in the same locality. How are you going to deal with it? And I don't mean to be facetious about it, but it's a serious issue, because you have 3 parties coming together. And I would assume that Good or BOSA or Rise would want their original Rise Mzansi candidate to push through over a BOSA candidate. Have you thought about that? How are you going to ventilate it?
I mean, let me first of all say that the question you put forward is an important one and a very good problem to have. You want to have competition of the best rather than scraping the bottom of the barrel with corrupt people who are trying to kill each other for positions. You actually want that. So I want to say it's a problem I want to welcome. The worst problem I would have is when you end up in spaces when none of the parties or civil society organizations or additional parties that we're dealing with don't have candidates there, that you end up having to go beg. No, the problem you've described is exactly the problem you want. But in solving for that problem, you want to ensure that you bring out a panel that is independent of the 3 parties, to say, give us an appropriate ranking here as to who has come through in the best in this situation has been, keeping in mind the fact that politics is both about electability, governance, and also competence. So that ultimately you want somebody who, as they are well known in the community, they must be electable and they can go from there. So I think the ranking mechanism will be done in such a manner that we will achieve, in this instance, the best list. And of course, it's going to be about, it's not just horse trading to say, here are my comrades, where are your comrades, where are these people? It's about really genuinely saying the candidate, the best candidate, who is going to win, govern best, and represent the community. That's who should win. And we should rather be less obsessed about what the historical party is. We should be more obsessed about what the community, in fact, wants.
And you are leaving that to an independent committee or panel to sift through that.
It has to be that way. Otherwise, you'll end up in a space where you've got people in Unite who say, well, my representation starts at this party, and then you federate your list, which is not what we're trying to do. We want a list for Unite for Change that is representative of that.
Then speak a bit about the independence of that committee. How do you recruit them? Because it's well and good to say things are independent, but unless you really dissect it, that's when you get to whether it's independent or just a facade of that. Who are you grabbing to be on that panel? Are you getting business people who are not affiliated to you? Who exactly are you getting? And how will they know about the mandate that Unite for Change? Because politically, they must also be well informed as to what kind of a political candidate you want.
Yeah, and it's a consideration of both. So what I also must say that its independence is not completely agnostic of the political contributions that people make. Because we, from a BOSA point of view, have had to learn this lesson that when you put together a panel of people to interview and work with your candidates, they can't be ignorant of the fact that this person has been working and serving in the community, etc. So they need to know that. But furthermore, they need to know what it takes to actually run a municipality or a government, because sometimes we can assume that someone who's successful, in business or in another space, automatically knows what it takes to run a city. Some of these things may have similarities, but they've got some important differences. But thirdly, is that you want to make sure that as you bring people on this panel, we are working hard to go into various structures and really individuals of caliber. So the work will be put together to put these panels together. They will be convening over the January-February period to give us a sense as to where we go. But there's also equally so a rubric with which they are guided by, which I've already indicated that it's not only the person's academic work, it's community involvement, it's also their own ability to understand municipal governance. There's already a rubric that has been put together so that people are not being interviewed about whether they've been on television, not necessarily knowing what it takes to run a government.
The subtext in that, on a day like this, when another party is actually swearing in a councillor in Ekurhuleni, it's very palpable, by the way. But let's go to some of your thoughts. Feel free to engage with Mmusi Maimane, who is with a co-leader at Unite for Change and also the leader of Build One South Africa. They're looking for candidates to become ward councillors. Perhaps you've been sitting on the sidelines complaining about your ward councillor. Would you consider to become a ward councillor? And would you go with this model where the community gets to decide who their ward councillor should be, or a candidate of a ward councillor should be? Let us know on 011-883-0702. I'd love to hear from you. Is it something that you'd consider? Is it politics that are really shifting the needle and bringing something new? This is what you're looking forward to, as opposed to a party presenting just their list and saying, vote for us and we'll decide who becomes a councillor. I'd love to know from you.
Hi, Tawe and the team. My question to Dr. Maimane is, what is the role of these ward councillors? Personally, I don't see the importance of these ward councillors, because you cannot expect service delivery from someone who doesn't have a budget. How can you get service delivery from someone who doesn't have a budget? I think what I've learned about them, they can just send these WhatsApps informing the public about the best pipe along Jan Smarts. Anyone can do that. You don't need to be paid to do that. A WhatsApp group can do that. David.
Dr. Maimane?
That's a very important question, because it also indicates the fact that we've reduced ward councillors to simply being, if you like, hotlines for complaints. In the law that has been established for local government, it is designed that local government works on the back of an integrated development plan. Each ward councillor has the ability to be able to say, forget that there's a burst water pipe. What does the community here need? So that when the budget before the budget is put together, that development plan for the city has taken cognizance of saying Ward 58 or Ward whatever in the city of Johannesburg will require a park, it will require more lighting, it will require X, Y, so that the ward councillor takes that, represents the community within that, holds community meetings so that the inputs of the community are put together, submits that so that by the time an IDP is put together and a budget funds that IDP, the community's needs are put forward, and then post facto be able to monitor that those projects are done. So I think sometimes we say, does the ward council have a budget or not? Actually, we all have a budget for Joburg. What we need to know, and I'm speaking about Joburg because that's a big municipality coming forward, but it actually has to do with the fact that ward councillors have a very important role in not only representing people when issues arise, but representing people in the planning and the development of a city as a ward-based planning model comes from.
I'm speaking to Dr. Mmusi Maimane, co-leader for Unite for Change, and they are calling community members to come forward so that they can stand as potential councillors for their particular locations. Let us know for the awards, rather, if you will. Let us know if it's something that you would be interested in. 011-883-0702. William, you are in Pretoria. Welcome.
Good day to you and to Dr. Maimane. I hope I'm audible. Am I audible?
Loud and clear. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Look, we are in support of any change which is constructive and taking us further beyond where we are. But my point here to the point is that knowing where Dr. Maimane is coming from, and in no way does one discredit his credentials and his ability of leadership and so on. And now government is in what you call GNU. So what are the lessons learned to date from his engagement, political, and also where we are now in terms of us avoiding recurrence and repetition of what they went through, given that now it's not only his party at play here, but there are other parties. Now, the questions you posed to him obviously are legitimate, but then we know that the proof of putting is in there. So what are the legal structures for whoever shall have been in there to be removed or not to be removed, and what are the discourse? Because we cannot for now really afford any drop of ball or lack of discipline in any person appointed, especially at the mayor level. We would want to see stability, consistency, and continuation of what is good. So my long and short question is that what lessons are learned, and how best then with those lessons learned can this movement now assist us as a government or a country taking us further. Thank you.
So using his past as a backdrop, what lessons have been learned, especially in process like this, William? Is that
my pleasure.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, William. Dr. Maimane?
Well, if I get the essence of the question, I mean, there have been many lessons that I certainly have learned, and part of stepping away from Parliament in 2019 to give ourselves time was to really rethink some of the issues that we're engaged with. Firstly, I think the local sphere of government is probably the most important sphere of government in the country. But what we've done is deployed or sent to that people who you almost want to use local government as a stepping stone for another sphere of government. So they kind of go, well, I'll start in a city and then work my way up. It cannot be like that, because actually that is an independent sphere on its own. Secondly, the coalition mistake that we've made was always to post-coalesce. So in other words, wait until people have voted and eventually say, here's the coalition you look up. I can tell you as night follows day, if there's a big lesson for me, is that political parties often come into that negotiating place no longer thinking about citizens, no longer thinking about what program they want to drive. Effectively, the only question on the table is, what position do I want to occupy? So you end up literally horse trading on positions, totally ignorant of what happens in cities. So to me, a pre-coalition such as this one is an important one, so that you tell people, these are the people I'm going to be working with. And then when we launch and we put together the manifesto, we'll be able to make it tangible to what it is. And then the last thing is, manifestos at local governments must be, you asked me about mayorals and mayors. Mayors must be held on a quarterly basis accountable, so that they come every quarter telling the citizens, here's what we agreed to, here's what we are doing, so that there's a direct line in access.
Are you going to use the very same process for your mayoral candidate?
That process has a similar features, but what we ask for mayors is that when they come and appear, for them, their presentation isn't just a matter of whether I know what councils look like. They need to have drafted and tabled a plan for what the city they're standing for, the municipality they're standing for.
So I'm asking very quickly, apologies, Musi, but I'm asking very quickly before we have about 40, 50 seconds, specifically about the calling for communities to participate in the process. Will you also look at community candidates to present themselves as mayoral candidates, or do you already have, as Bosa Good and Rise Mzansi, pre-identified other individuals as mayoral candidates?
No, there is. When I say the pre-identified list, that would not be what we're trying to achieve. We want the best people. So if there are community people who present the best candidate, who has the best plan, let them put them on board. And I'm still inviting on this call, Thabo, that let particularly faith-based communities, civil society, bring candidates, we will train them. They will be the best going into council.
Yeah, to become a mayor, Musi. To become a mayor.
Okay. What we are saying is we're looking, even for the business communities, even for many of these civil society organizations, they need to put forward people who have got the best plan for the city, and we're engaging. And of course, we are also ourselves headhunting and looking at some of there are people who are sitting, who are CEOs of organizations and businesses that we are targeting right now as we speak to say to them, come so that you stand as mayor because we think your skill would be good to run the finances of a city or etc. etc.
Thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. Musi Maiman, Dr. Musi Maiman is co-leader of Unite for Change. Exactly 10:30. Feso Zulu will give us the latest on Eyewitness News headlines. Morning again, Feso.
Thanks, Thabo. Good morning. MK Party MP Duduzile Zuma has pleaded not guilty to charges of terrorism and incitement to commit public violence linked to riots that were sparked by the arrest of her father, former President Jacob Zuma. The widespread looting took place following Zuma's imprisonment for contempt of court, with his supporters demanding for his release in July 2021. The state says Zuma Sambula used social media to incite public violence. She is appearing in the Durban High Court this morning for trial. The police department hopes visits to Westbury and Recha Park today will help deal with crime following mass shootings in both areas. People are calling for interventions to tackle violence that's fueled by drugs and gangsterism. Acting Police Minister Firoz Kachalia, alongside other top brass, will have discussions with residents today. And a French court is expected to decide whether to release ex-President Nicolas Sarkozy from jail pending an appeals trial over allegations that he sought Libyan funding. A lower court in September found Sarkozy, who was head of state from 2007 to 2012, guilty of seeking to acquire funding from Muammar Gaddafi's Libya for the campaign that saw him elected and sentenced him to 5 years behind bars. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Coming from heading into the Joburg CBD, coming from the Germiston area, expect about a 20-minute delay on the M2 westbound. This is between Heidelberg Road and the Crown Interchange. We still have those roadworks in the Alex Calvin area slowing down traffic. N3 northbound between Linksfield Road and the Batlu Interchange. Traffic is also a bit sluggish heading into Bedfordview. That's in Edenville. R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulis Interchange. And look out for those faulty traffic lights in four ways at Cedar and Witkoop. And if you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Building a life across borders starts with choices. Visas, a second passport, citizenship, your child's education abroad, and sometimes those choices can be overwhelming. For 30 years, Sable International has simplified global mobility, including cross-border tax, forex, and wealth management, helping you make the right choices with expertise and care. Build your future beyond borders. Visit us at sableinternational.com.
Summer is about rewarding yourself with oceanic views, sizzling braais, and so much more. Earn your share of 120 million rand in real cash back, depending on your rewards tier, when you pay with your Absa Visa card. Plus, enter the Absa Swiper competition and stand a chance to win one of 10 cars. This summer could be the best you've had in years. Your story matters. Absa, T's and C's apply. Absa is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za. 702.
Let's walk the talk. on 92.7
and 106 FM.
26 minutes to 11 o'clock. Welcome back. My name is Thabo Sholamasho. I'm in for Clement, and we're together till 12. And thanks for your voice notes, your messages as always. I think you might have heard already, and you might have consumed it in the media, that US President Donald Trump said on Friday that no US government official would attend the gathering of the world's leading economies that's taking place in Johannesburg later this month because of what he said were human rights abuses. And I'm referring to that huge G20 summit that we have been speaking about for eons now, and I'm sure you are G20'd out. But nonetheless, it's important to get this on the record and understand this a little bit further, as we've asked some of our guests who are experts in the matter to help us understand it. We have John Stremlau, Wits University's International Relations Honorary Professor. He joins us on Zoom right now. Prof, thanks for your time. Welcome to 702. Good morning to you.
Thank you, Thabo.
And Dr. Faith Mabera also is joining us right now, postdoctoral research fellow at Wits as well. Doc, thanks for your time. Welcome to 702. Good morning.
Good morning, Thabo, and good morning to your listeners.
Thanks. Now that I can hear both of you so clearly, maybe let's kick off with you, Prof. How important is this, and how significant is this boycott? And will the absence of the U.S. officials really affect in any negative way the influence and effectiveness of G20 this year?
Yes, certainly. In the short term, it is a stick in the eye of South Africa, which Donald Trump has been habitually keen to do. He's a bully, and his executive order on February 7th, 2025, shortly after he assumed the second term, was a stick in the eye because it cut off all foreign assistance to South Africa, and it gave refugee status to Afrikaners, so white Afrikaners, privileged Afrikaners. I don't fault DIRCO for making the extra effort at all for trying to engage the Trump administration, and I thought Cyril Ramaphosa's visit to Washington was timely and very professionally done, and it showed the lies of the Trump administration. But nevertheless, this was inevitable. I took a deep breath when J.D. Vance was announced, but I exhaled when I saw that the true colors of the Trump administration were flying high in this denial of any participation in the G20.
Before we go to Dr. Faith, Prof, sticking with you just a little, will it also affect perhaps the attendance of other major powers in the world, especially some European countries? Will this deter them from participating as effectively as they would have wanted to? Professor? Let's try one more time. John Stremlau, are you there?
Yes, I am certainly there, and I could answer this question.
Yeah. Sorry. It's your turn.
Well, the major powers will take advantage of the gap that Donald Trump has created. He doesn't really care, but because he's working on his own cover-up domestically, and in the light of the Democratic resurgence last Tuesday, I'm not surprised that he is deflecting attention by calling off the attendance in any way in South Africa. He's made South Africa an issue unnecessarily, in my view, in the U.S. domestic politics. But the interesting question is, what will the other major powers do in the absence of the U.S.?
Yeah. And Dr. Faith, this brings us to you because we are supposed to be handing the presidency over to the U.S. And in their absence, clearly, there will be some awkwardness there, and there will be some visible, almost embarrassment. And if anything else, it leaves a sense of lack of continuity. How are we supposed to now, as South Africa, play to this huge moment on our shores to our benefit, despite the egg on our face that Donald Trump is really imposing?
Thank you, Thabo. So I agree with Prof. Stander's assertion that this is hardly surprising given developments we've seen under the Trump 2.2 administration, really castigating South Africa. It's almost like a pushback, some sort of vindictiveness around Pretoria's engagement in really putting forward the case against Israel at the ICJ. So it's really created a surge of tension between Pretoria and Washington that we've seen playing out for the majority of this year. But in saying that, I think first, this is a crucial moment for us as South Africa because it presents the first time that the G20 summit is held on African soil. And we've seen this also dovetail with the choice of the theme that South Africa is seeking to really advance, that notion of promoting solidarity, equality, and sustainability in really shaping the discussions at the high-level engagement and at a high-level interaction among the G20. And it's important here to really zero in on what the G20 is. So for all intents and purposes, the G20 is the premier forum for global economic governance. So this bringing in all these key global, the world's leading economic powers. But for us, on one hand, we are faced with crisis, but I would argue there's also opportunity therein. Crisis because we see that the absence of the U.S., which still maintains its position, at least in nominal terms, as the world's largest economy, will complicate a lot of the consensus building around global priorities. When you look at issues like climate change, debt relief, inequality, etc. So there's certainly going to be a complication of efforts on that consensus building at that level. But in saying that, South Africa and other G20 members could also use this particular moment to strengthen solidarity among non-Western powers. In fact, South Africa could also see this as an opportunity to really zero in on its purported claim to advance the African agenda as a core pillar of its foreign policy. So this can be seen in really navigating and showcasing some of its diplomatic credentials in leveraging South-South cooperation, in leveraging African solidarity, in really making a strong case for Africa's collective pivotal role as a key actor in global governance and in global policy decision making. So that's how I see this moment. And you're right in saying there's going to be a bit of a rupture in the institutional continuity of key things, particularly because the U.S. we need to hand over the baton to the U.S. for the 2026 presidency. But I think we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that this is a key moment for us, particularly as Africans on African soil. There are key issues that still need to be leveraged.
We would have thought that we are over this bridge now. I mean, we saw a delegation, as Professor Strumlight said earlier on, we saw a great delegation presenting a very formidable case in the White House earlier, and we realized that maybe perhaps we could have mended fences, we could have mended relations with each other. What went wrong between then and now? Because it appeared as though all was well. Yes, disagreements were going to be there nonetheless, but out of nowhere, this is triggered again about imagined crisis in South Africa of people being killed. Dr. Faith, what do you think is behind this? Is this just really a facade, an excuse of sorts, a mirage that really doesn't exist in order to avoid coming to South Africa for a bigger picture that some of the issues that you have ventilated on, the ICJ for one, are those the real issues, not necessarily the genocide that he has been speaking about?
For me, I see the U.S. as, and particularly under the second Trump administration, as remaining true to form. And by true to form, I mean we've seen it doubling down on a very transactional approach to foreign policy on one hand, but also underscoring this preference for unilateral action as far as multilateral engagement is concerned. But it's also interesting because it's reflective of how there's, as I mentioned, I wanted to zero in on the notion of vindictiveness on one hand, but also therein is a kind of inclination for the Trump administration to really reduce multilateralism and multilateral fora to utility. So in this case, it's only seeing multilateral fora as useful insofar as it's in service of American strategic priorities and interests. But it's also a very nefarious form of geopolitical point scoring. So, for instance, so this is an opportunity to really try and maybe isolate Pretoria, to really castigate it, cast a shadow over some of the points in which the two countries diverge. But so it's using what it considers the tools at its disposal, particularly because we all know that the U.S. has been a key architect of the current system of global governance that we see in. It's played that leading role since the end of the Second World War and really championing that post-war multilateral order. But it's increasingly retreating. And it's retreating because there are certain currents within the American US foreign policy that are more sort of have a predilection for transactionalism, for isolationism, for unilateral action broadly.
Sure. It's 14 minutes to 11 o'clock. You're on 702. My guest, John Stromlaw, Wits University's International Relations Honorary Professor, Dr. Faith Mabera, Postdoctoral Research Fellow at Wits University. And we are just exploring this issue of the U.S. not sending any official to the G20 meeting anticipated later in the month, and whether this is taking us backwards as far as our diplomatic relations are concerned with the United States. President Trump saying that he's not sending anyone and insisting on the persecution of Afrikaners in South Africa and saying we are still doing bad things in South Africa. And if we should worry about that at all, or should we use this opportunity to the best of our ability, and if anything else, prove to the rest of the world that what he's saying is just imagined crisis. There's nothing of the sort. I'd love to hear from you as a listener, as someone who is involved in these things, as a South African. What do you make of it? Feel free to venture your thoughts, your opinions on 011-883-0702, 011-883-0702. Alternatively, send a voice note to 072-702-1702.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow. That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an Actors-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9, featuring exclusive books. Their CEO, Gretchen Kirk, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. Join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702. Let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
KwaZulu-Natal has it all, believe it. The Zulu Kingdom is home to unforgettable adventures and experiences that will stay with you forever. Why not invite Abundase and whale watch along our wild coast, or turtle track in the heart of St. Lucia? Take a tour of our historic battlefields. Then rise above the beautiful Midlands meander in a hot air balloon trip made for two. Unforgettable happens here. Zwagala.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
702 indeed. 11 minutes to 11 o'clock. Coming back to my guest. Prof. Stromlaw, let's maybe start off with you in this segment. Is this an indication of things to come as far as our relations with the US is concerned? I mean, there are many other issues economically that are yet to be unveiled, especially given that now the government is back in running and the shutdown is over. Are we going to see the more hostile economic engagement with the US as coming from President Donald Trump, or this is perhaps just an exception from here? It's smooth sailing.
That's a domestic political issue for the United States to resolve. But I would like to speak of the opportunity that South Africa has as the current president of the G20. And one of the options is to have a quiet consultation with the leaders who do show up in South Africa about downgrading their participation in the 2026 U.S. sponsored, which is Trump is now calling to Miami, the downgrading their participation, or a more radical solution would be, in my view, although it's unlikely, that they would pick a different chairman, South Korea or Britain or some other G20 member to be the president in 2026, because this is so extraordinary. I mean, for the U.S. to refuse to participate in the 2025 G20 is abominable, and it should be seen as that. And I think South Africa has the moral standing and the political clout to go ahead and try to broker a deal that would downgrade the U.S. participation in the hosting of this by virtue of no one showing up. Or even the more radical solution is an alternative a president. This is a very loose organization, and it could actually surprise us if the catalyst was right.
Won't your suggestions, won't they come with, given the character that we're dealing with, sour grapes and throwing toys out of the cot, with serious implications such as AGOA perhaps?
Well, this is always a problem, but there was bipartisan support for AGOA, and I think we're turning the corner in the U.S. This is the last gasp of the settler population, and I think that the demographics are clear that the U.S. is going to become a minority state in the next decade, and so we have to get through the Trump bullying, and I hope that South Africa can rise to the challenge of having a decent and good and productive G20 meeting here on this month in Johannesburg.
Yeah. Some of the text messages that have come through. This one says, "Morning. We do not care if Trump comes or not. He's a narcissist and cares only about himself. He's genuinely the most destructive leader of so-called superpower." This comes from Celeste. Another text message says, "Important to note that most international governments are not backing the Trump narrative about white genocide, e.g. EU backing a massive trade deal with South Africa. The white refuge narrative is not popular worldwide, but maybe it plays well in conservative American circles. Just another perspective." I really appreciate that. Quickly, let's go to a voice note, and I'll come back to you, Dr. Faith, and then we'll wrap up our discussion.
Morning, 702. This is Kamo here from Johannesburg. Yes, I don't know why we are having a back and forth with this whole Trump thing. Trump knows he's lying. The whole administration knows he's lying. The whole of America, except his delusional followers, know that he's lying. This is propaganda. This is all it is. And I don't understand why having a back and forth. Can we just move on and ignore this guy? Because he really wants attention. Because what I'm seeing here is very soon they are going to send military. They'll want to do what they want to do now in Nigeria, where they are saying the Christians are being persecuted. Trump is just creating a situation, propagating it, because he wants to use force ultimately. That is the playbook that they use. So, yeah, I don't know really why we're having a back and forth. Seriously, it's ridiculous.
Dr. Faith, your thoughts?
So I think the general consensus by the comments that you're receiving, Tabo, are that this whole issue of boycotting the G20 is sound and fury, signifying nothing. I think that's the general takeaway that we can get from that. But
yeah, to quote Macbeth.
Yes, of course. But I think it's interesting because, and here I'm speaking from the perspective of now South Africa engaging as a diplomatic actor and really harnessing its diplomatic enterprise in being careful on how they navigate this issue. So while there's tensions that are continuing to play in the background, as I mentioned earlier, the negotiations, the high-level engagement at the G20 level will proceed as scheduled. So the absence, yes, will have an impact on the consensus, but that will not necessarily derail the engagement. Will continue at sharper level, at leaders level, at working group level. That will continue. The question for me is the kind of messaging that we're likely to see with the outcome. Whether South Africa will really capitalize on this moment to cast a light on what we are seeing emerging globally. So this interesting moment where global power dynamics are increasingly taking on and moving towards multipolarity, that configuration is really coming to the fore. How South Africa will really prioritize the engagement at the G20 level to send out a strong message about the importance of collective action, the importance of solutions that really touch and address the core issues that face us as humanity collectively, but also the key messages that it will have in reining in the importance of solidarity. So countering a kind of public relations, public diplomacy messaging that is skillfully going to take away from the negativity and the global anarchism, but really zero in on the importance of cooperation, on the importance of rebuilding trust and building bridges despite ongoing disagreement.
I have to say thanks to both of you. We've run out of time. Really appreciate it. John Stromlaw, Wits University International Relations Honorary Professor. Really thanks for your time. Dr. Faith Mabera, Postdoctoral Research Fellow at Wits University. Thanks to you both. And that was definitely an eye-opener where we were just looking at the implications of President Trump not sending a single U.S. official to the G20 meeting that is anticipated later this month. If it's going to have any effect on us as a country at all. 2 minutes to 11 o'clock.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 Rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
To sell or not to sell? That is the question. Whether selling a car, bike, boat, or bikie, We Buy Cars offers instant payment and a stress-free experience. Simply complete the form on webuycars.co.za for the best offer, trading in or shopping for your next ride. Explore 12,000 plus vehicles online or visit We Buy Cars in store. Whether buying or selling, head to We Buy Cars today.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
Welcome back. Just after the news headlines, well, not the news headlines, just after the news bulletin at 11 o'clock, we will take a look at family matters. And I would really, really urge you to participate in that very important discussion. We will be looking at people who are going through addiction, how to help loved ones dealing with addiction. All that and more after this news.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Duduzile Zuma has pleaded not guilty to charges of terrorism and incitement to commit public violence linked to riots that were sparked by the arrest of her father, former President Jacob Zuma. The looting happened after her father was imprisoned for contempt of court, with supporters demanding for his release in July 2021. The MK Member of Parliament is accused of using social media to incite public violence. The unrest led to the deaths of more than 300 people and damage that cost the economy billions of rands. She's appearing in the Durban High Court for the first day of trial. The police department hopes visits to Westbury and Reiger Park today will help deal with crime following mass shootings in both areas. People are calling for interventions to tackle violence that's fueled by drugs and gangsterism. Acting Police Minister Firoz Kachalia, alongside other top brass, will have discussions with residents. Ndozo Kumalo reports.
In the past few weeks, 2 communities in the province witnessed tragic deaths. Last month, 7 teenagers were shot in Westbury and 2 died when gunmen opened fire at a suspected drug den. A little over a week later, a bloody incident was witnessed in Reiger Park, where the occupants of 2 vehicles released a hail of bullets, claiming 6 lives and wounding 3, including a child. The police anti-gang unit has managed to arrest 5 suspects connected to the Westbury shooting. Meanwhile, the attackers from the Reiger Park shooting are still unknown. Ndogozo Kumalo, Eyewitness News.
New political formation Unite for Change has dismissed criticism from well-established parties that new, smaller movements are fragmenting the vote and causing instability in coalitions where they are often the kingmaker. The new political platform launched its candidate recruitment process for the upcoming local government elections at a gathering of supporters from Rise Mzansi, Good and Bosa, which was held in Parliament yesterday. The parties say they will not cower to the country's biggest political organizations. Lindsay Dentlinker reports.
Collectively, the parties that make up Unite for Change attained just more than 1% of the vote in last year's national elections, with a total of 5 seats in Parliament. But Boss's Nobuntu Shlazo Webster says the emergence of new parties is because older parties have disappointed voters.
If you look at currently what you see in the GNU, the biggest problems that exist are between the 2 biggest parties in the GNU. And so it's not a matter of size, but a matter of governance.
Rise Mzansi's Vuyiswa Ramagopa says Unite for Change is responding to voters' desire for politically aligned parties to work together.
So there is no such thing as small parties, big parties, ugly parties, beautiful parties. Every single one of these parties represents the aspirations, the desires, and the fears of South Africans, and they have every right to have their views represented.
Bossa leader Musi Maimane says attracting candidates that represent communities trumps the notion that this new amalgamated party should hold an elective conference to determine its leadership. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
And a French court is expected to decide whether to release former President Nicolas Sarkozy from jail pending an appeals trial over allegations that he sought Libyan funding. A lower court in September found Sarkozy, who was head of state from 2007 to 2012, guilty of seeking to acquire funding from Muammar Gaddafi's Libya for the campaign that saw him elected and sentenced him to 5 years behind bars. The 70-year-old entered jail last month, becoming the first former head of a EU state to be incarcerated. The Paris Appeals Court will examine that request for release and is expected to make a decision during the day. And if the court approves his request, he could be immediately released. Gold is trading at $4,063.43 an ounce. The rand is at 17.27 to the dollar, 22.72 to the pound, 19.97 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $64.12 a barrel.
Traveling into the Joburg CBD, that's coming from the Germiston area. Traffic remains sluggish. M2 westbound between Heidelberg Road and the Crown Interchange. Traffic lights still not working in 4 ways at Witkoppen and Cedar, as well as 4 ways Boulevard and Cedar.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 21 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, Duduzile Zuma has pleaded not guilty to charges of terrorism and incitement to committing violence or public violence linked to riots that were sparked by the arrest of her father, former President Jacob Zuma.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7.
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Five minutes after 11 o'clock. Thanks very much for joining us. You are on 702. Great having you with us. And the past half hour was also on fire as we tried to look at why the US President Donald Trump decided not to send one single official to that anticipated G20 meeting. But as many of you have already said, we should not care at all. We've got business to do, and let's move on and do exactly that. Really appreciate your thoughts and your voice messages, your text messages that have been coming through on 011-883-0702. And if you'd like to send a text, most welcome to do so on 072-702-1702. As you already know, when Clement is not here, I don't move furniture. So your favorite feature is still here, and it's coming up.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
We call it Family Matters every single Monday, and today is no exception whatsoever. We will be looking at how to help loved ones deal with addiction. It can be a little bit embarrassing for us to admit that your aunt, your mom, your father, your nephew, your child, your cousin, your brother has got some addiction, is suffering from some addiction or the other. And at times we are afraid to share that with others because we somehow assume a little bit of humiliation, and we're thinking, people are going to judge me and judge my family, that we're a dysfunctional family. But addiction is one of those issues that really exists in isolation. It doesn't exist only in isolation. It doesn't only affect the person caught in its grip. It seeps into the lives of everyone around them. Families often find themselves walking on a tightrope between love and frustration. You know, you're thinking, what do I do under such circumstances? Do I scream at this person or do I treat them gently? You're caught between wanting to help and feeling completely useless and helpless. And whether it's a partner who drinks too much, it could also be a sibling struggling with nyaupe, drugs, or even a parent battling with gambling and you don't want to share that with anyone, or even prescription medication addiction. And that's a very serious one, by the way. And the emotional toll can be overwhelming. And to help us deal with these issues, we've called into the studio our guest, Dan Wolf, who is psychologist and director at Houghton House Center. Dan, thanks for your time. Welcome to 702.
Good morning, Thabo.
Please come closer to the microphone so that everyone can hear your astute counsel on these issues.
Okay.
You well?
Thank you. I'm well, fortunately, thank God, and good to be back here in studio with you.
Yeah. I mean, addiction is something very serious, and we become judgmental around it, and we apportion blame. I'm sure it's more complicated than that.
Look, Thabo, you actually gave a fantastic introduction, because what you emphasized is addiction has no bias, and it could be your aunt or your grandmother or your school teacher or the preacher at your church. It could be anyone.
Yeah.
And in reality, this is a family condition. We are not dealing with something that affects the individual alone. And that's why, one has to start thinking quite carefully about the notion that's often put out there. The individual needs to want to get better. But then what about the family? Where does that leave them? That's quite a disempowering scenario. So
Certainly.
I think what we need to consider, particularly in the context of the show addressing family matters, what is an appropriate response to an individual, whether they want to get well or not? Because by definition, when you're dealing with addiction, the person's going to want to get well now, and 2 hours later may not want to get well.
Certainly. What are some of the signs that we can look out for? Because at times we pass all these behavioral patterns as just normal and fleeting moments. What should we look out for?
Well, I think what we need to notice immediately is when there's been a dramatic change, because I want to talk quite broadly here. We're not here to talk about to talk directly to the mother. I'm not here as the school counsellor saying, when your boy's got bloodshot eyes and he's eating all the chocolates in the cupboard, he's smoking weed. We need to notice that there's going to be a significant change. Why? Because you've got an individual, whether it is an employee in a corporate environment, whether it's a mother, who has got certain responsibilities. Now, because they've aligned themselves with a certain behavior, whether it's substance use, whether it's gambling, their primary relationship is no longer with the family, and therefore they have aligned themselves with this substance, for instance, and have betrayed the family. So one's going to immediately notice some dramatic shift in the person's willingness to engage with the responsibilities that a normal individual, or I shouldn't use the word normal, a non-addicted individual under those circumstances would be taking very seriously. So they have now disconnected themselves or extricated themselves from their day-to-day responsibilities. They are unlikely to sustain their commitment. So one has to then consider what level of functionality are we dealing with, and what kind of shift, what kind of dramatic change has taken place over the last period of time.
What is the appropriate way of confronting that? And I don't want you to be necessarily prescriptive, like you've said, generically for someone perhaps for an aunt who's addicted to gambling, an uncle to medication and so on. What is the right posture to hold when you approach them in order for you not to exacerbate the situation?
Okay, well, interesting question, Thabo, because in reality, we have to reflect on how we generally deal with situations.
Yeah.
And I think it's fair to say that it's very common for people to avoid uncomfortable discussions. And so the natural response may often be not to respond, and that's not helpful. So in reality, what is going to be more helpful is to be able to have a difficult conversation, and that may be a very constructive way to start. I've noticed that there are significant changes in your behavior, and naturally, I don't want to highlight that because, I have great regard for you, whether it's your aunt or your uncle as a person, but I feel it's my responsibility to talk to you about this issue. And what I often suggest to people is not to go head to head, because often what's not helpful is for the individual to position themselves as the professional. Yeah. And that's going to infuriate the individual they're talking to. What they need to do is come from a position of love and say, I am your child, and I love you, and I'm invested in this relationship. What I'd like to suggest is I've noticed a shift. I'm not sure how concerned I need to be. Can you come with me to have this situation evaluated in the same way that they would be responding to any other condition?
Yes.
And I think that is really what we need to work hard at in terms of destigmatizing mental health conditions, is in the same way you wouldn't feel judged or uncomfortable taking your child or going with your parent to the GP if they've got a physical condition. So too, mental health conditions can be evaluated constructively, and what we need to understand is these conditions are responsive to treatment if the correct treatment is administered.
I'm playing devil's advocate here, but I'm sure it happens in real life as well. And this person is in denial. Perhaps they feel a certain sense of shame. They don't want to open up to you, and they just, brush you off and say, there's nothing really. I haven't been sleeping well in the past few days. I'm sure it will pass. How do you elevate that to the next level?
Yeah. So, first of all, denial is an interesting concept because it always exists on a certain level. Even if the person says to you, I've really been struggling with my drinking, are they accepting on a fundamental level that they need help? No, not necessarily. They may still feel very much in control.
Sure.
But just to kind of talk to the point of being brushed off, that's often an indication of real concern. And so when the person is not being receptive, what they're actually telling you is you're the one with the problem. You're seeing things.
Yes.
And you need to be able to escalate things and respond to that and say, listen, you can't, I know who you are. And I've had contact with you as a functional person. Now, what I often try and highlight, which I find interesting, is if this person is acting in a highly dysfunctional way, and it's got nothing to do with substances, well, then they must offer a valid explanation. And often the most optimistic explanation is that there's substances involved. I mean, particularly if the individual is having, particularly strange behaviors, whether they're psychotic or they're paranoid or they, highly anxious. If it's got to do with substances, well then, there's a constructive way forward. If there are no substances in the picture, well, who knows what the way forward may be.
Yeah. At which point do you draw in assistance from another individual, perhaps where you feel that this person has got more authority or more impact than myself over this person? Maybe they won't listen to me for whatever reason. And at which point do you draw help in to come and assist you?
Yeah. So first of all, let me emphasize the majority of calls made to us at Houghton House is by concerned family members. People get drawn in themselves. And so I immediately evaluate who has got leverage, because, we have to understand what recovery is about if you're going to decide who to involve. And recovery is so often about the individual making themselves accountable. So if it's a husband who wants his wife to come with him, that may be a very good indicator that he now wants to be taken seriously. He knows he's not going to be taken seriously if he comes alone, and he's more likely to be taken seriously if he includes the people that he's affected, because in essence, his behavior has had a dramatic impact and has affected the family at large. So to include them in the recovery process may be a very good indicator of their commitment to the process.
Yeah. It's 19 minutes after 11 o'clock. My name is Thabo Shola Mashao. I'm in for Clement, and we're together till 12. We're on Family Matters. This feature comes on every Monday between 11 and 12 at this time, and we look at various issues that are facing families, my family, your family, our families in general. And today we are looking at the problem of addiction. How do you help a loved one, genuinely, who is suffering from one addiction and to another, and they are really battling with this? How do you become present for them? How do you provide help? How do you communicate effectively? How do you hopefully draw them out of that addiction? The patience that you need to have, the help that you need to draw into the picture in order for you to assist this person. But also, many of us would feel shame that one of us in a family has got an addiction of sorts. Perhaps it's gambling, drugs, or any of those. It could be that we are speaking to you right now. I'm going to urge you to give us a shout, call us. It's a safe space. And let's do away with the shame, the embarrassment, the humiliation, and any sense of smallness that comes with this. It could be that you are assisting someone to get proper help. My guest, Dan Wolf, is psychologist and director at Houghton House Centre. He's here to help all of us. Feel free to call us on 011 883 0702. 011 883 0702. Alternatively, it could be that you just want to leave a voice note and go back to listening. That's also fine. You can do that on 072 702 1702.
Thanks, Tavo. Thanks a lot for addressing this problem or this issue, and thanks as well for your guest. My issue is my wife. She drinks a lot. Whenever she has money it's for alcohol. She buys nothing. Well, unfortunately, she lost a good job as head of labor relation in one of the big institution, and then she took her pension money and she messed up. She drank everything. How do you help somebody that's in denial? Whenever you ask and you address issues, it's fighting and it's insulting. I'd like to remain anonymous. It's me here in Rodiport. I'm in the West End. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Dan.
Okay, so I just wanted to mention one thing. As a point of departure, you spoke about this being a safe space. And I was thinking to myself, well, this is kind of national radio. But that being said, is it not a safe place? Because in reality, the safe space exists in the person's head when they've decided that they're no longer going to be keeping this a secret, and they are ready to reach out. So this individual who's called, I commend him because he's made this space safe for himself. Exactly. And I think that is very valuable. Now, that being said, when you approach someone and they are exercising a high level of disregard and they are actively destroying themselves, there are ways of dealing with this on an involuntary basis. Now, it's not something that people necessarily want to do, but it is a possibility, and it's not so complicated because there is what we refer to as a committal order, where you involve a social worker. We at Houghton House work with a very capable woman who would come and meet with this individual's wife and say to her, you're not well, you need treatment. You're either going to do this willingly, you're on a medical aid, hypothetically, and be directed to a treatment center which is able to give you all the support you need, or alternatively, you're going to be directed to the courts, to a center which may not be that comfortable. That being said, I also want to emphasize that we're dealing with someone who's been a high-functioning individual, and that needs to be brought into the mix as well.
Yeah.
Is you a woman with potential? You were the head of a labor relations department. You've dealt with countless people who've compromised themselves on account of alcohol, and I understand because of that there's deep shame and discomfort associated with it, but we've got a life to live. Yep. And I think that is part of what needs to be emphasized in these situations.
I'm going to read out a text message then that came from one of our listeners, and I'm not going to mention any names. Feel free, because I won't mention any names. I'll respect your privacy, if you will. And this one says, "Hi 702, I would like to remain anonymous. I have an addictive personality. Food, pain, meds are my addiction. Weight management is something I have to monitor on a daily or every 3 days. I used to weigh 88 kgs and now I weigh 57 kgs. I can't even take pain meds when I'm in pain, as this will trigger addiction. Living with addiction is hard. Not having any support is worse. I've been dealing with my addiction for years. I'm a professional adult that is employed. It's very hard being at work. Functions that involve sugary or fatty food. I feel like I'm in a cycle that I will have to live with, or it might be the reason for my cause of death." Dan?
Well, I think what this individual is highlighting is the ongoing struggle, the torment. But at the same time, I believe that we're living in a world where there is no shortage of people who are struggling. Life is tough. And what's quite interesting is, we often talk about how technology has made life easier and more convenient, but has it genuinely lent itself towards meaningful levels of connection? And you could hear from the message how lonely this individual is and how isolated she feels or he feels.
Yeah.
And, I just want to bring to the fore here that despite living with challenges, we have an opportunity to make sense of our lives, to ask for the support that we need directly and respectfully. I cannot emphasize how many individuals I've met over the years, and I look at them and I hear a hero's story, because these are individuals that have made difficult decisions, and those decisions are made not only 1 day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time. And it, as they say, in the 12-step fellowship, things beyond your wildest dreams can unfold. And I really, I'm not here as a to speak evangelically. I just believe that if you show up for life and you do what you're responsible for, I'm not saying that everything goes away and we all live happily ever after, but life certainly can become more and more fulfilling. And that's really what this whole recovery process is about. It's about moving away from a way of being which is unfulfilling, which is lonely, which is isolated, and moving towards a life of fulfillment and connection.
Sure. Let's take a call on 011-883-0702. Morning, Paul. You in Pretoria?
Hi, morning. How are you?
I'm free. How are you, Paul?
Thank you. We've got a 23-year-old son. He has been hooked up in this Nyaube, and in the past 9-10 months, he's been to 2 different places trying to get some help for him. And when he's there, the first one is when he came back, it didn't even last a month, and then everything was back to normal, the way smoking. And then we took him to another place, which he spent there 6 months. When he came back, within a week, he was back on it. Now, the problem, he goes out as and when and comes back as and when. Sometime, like last night, he came like it was 9:15. And it's so hard for me to address that, because he's got some siblings. And then now, when I'm going to try to address that, he's going to be vocal and things not going to end well. But I mean, it's not a right environment that we're living in now. And we try by all means to help him. Now, he doesn't want to help around the house, any chores around the yard. We've got a small project that we're working. He's not coming to the party. So all he does, he wakes up in the morning, take a shower, dress up, he goes. He come in the evening, he get his plate of food, he eat, he goes to his room, he close the door, stays there, then the next morning it happens. So now the concern is that this is affecting the entire family, because now the siblings and me and my wife, we worried about this thing. So everyone now in the house is like, what do we do? What do we say today? What do we talk about? So it's not really a good environment. I don't know what are the advice that we can get
from Dan here, our guest.
From Dan there, yes.
Yeah. Paul?
And also everywhere where we took him, it doesn't come cheap, but because of love and your family member, you try by all means to get the funds that required to the place and pay, and and if he's going back again now, that means we are working to we are on the route of us getting broke, because whatever we're doing with the hope that he's going to come out of that and he stand by himself to be a better person.
Yeah, Paul, I'm going to ask Dan to respond, but that will happen only after the news headlines right now. So I'm going to ask you, if you will, to stay tuned and listen on the radio. Perhaps if you feel that you have some follow-ups to make, we can see how we facilitate that. But just after the news, I am going to ask Dan to respond to you, because this is not going to be a 10-second response from Dan. It's 29 minutes to 12 o'clock, and Mbali Dlamini is standing by to give us the very latest on Eyewitness News headlines. Good morning, and welcome, Mbali.
Thanks, Tabo. Good morning. Duduzile Zuma Sambudla has pleaded not guilty to charges of terrorism and incitement to commit public violence. Zuma is standing trial in the Durban High Court, facing charges linked to riots sparked by the arrest of her father, former President Jacob Zuma, in 2021. Zuma Sambudla is accused of using social media to incite public violence. The riots in July of 2021 led to widespread looting and the destruction of property in KwaZulu-Natal, as well as parts of Gauteng. Retired EMPD Deputy Commissioner Rivo Spies has highlighted how agreements between EMPD and two private companies were fundamentally unlawful as well as irregular. Spies is testifying before the Matlala Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria today. This is where he is unpacking the two memorandums of understanding that EMPD irregularly entered into with two companies of criminally accused tender tycoon Vusimuzi Cat Matlala. And 4 suspects have been arrested in connection with the death of Metro Police Constable Tyler Lamb. The 30-year-old officer died while chasing a suspect across a roof during a shooting incident in Kensington on Friday. Lamb was part of the newly deployed neighborhood safety officers in Cape Town. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at midday, or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage in the Joburg CBD, traffic remains sluggish. This is on the M2 westbound between Heidelberg Road and the Crown Interchange. Also slow-moving traffic. This is due to roadworks in the Calvin Alex area. N3. Traffic affected in both directions between London Road and the Butlu Interchange. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in 4 ways, Witkoppen and Cedar. Traffic lights still not working in the Edenvale area at Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeck, as well as Modderfontein Road and the N3. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
So you thought you were building a business in this economy, but day by day, somehow it grew. You kept going when the freezer didn't freeze, the bucket didn't budge, and the bank balance barely blinked. So you thought you were building a business. You weren't. It was building you. Because this isn't just what you do anymore. It's who you are. And you don't trust just anybody to protect it. Chat to your broker about Old Mutual Insure Business Insurance. Protect what built you. Old Mutual Insure Limited is a licensed FSP and non-life insurer.
Josie, my Josie. A city made of swag, passion and resilience. Over here, we rise with the sun. Namateksi. We are a city of doers, creators, and believers. When we unite, yonke into iyahlangana. From corner offices to corner veggie stalls or corner pre-chat and receipt. Josie, my Josie. A city where even those who were not born here are made here. Yabona la, citizenship is awarded to the curious. There's magic and beauty in our city. So we call on everyone to come experience it. Babiza bonke to come see Josie and all its people. Because this city is all of us. Come witness our citizens do it. Babiza bonke to come see the actions of the invisibles. Those building our city from the ground up. So we have a home we can all proudly call Josie, my Josie. Visit josiemyjosie.com to see how Josie does it.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Jonathan Oppenheimer said, I don't know if you saw it, Ignatius, he said, we should stop letting red tape get in the way of entrepreneurs. I mean, for you, is that an issue?
Oh, it is. It's a big issue. I mean, in different fora as business, we talk to government. I can't really put my hand on it as what is it that's holding the government up and getting rid of red tape. I would like to believe the government wants this economy to grow.
Ignatius Sehole is the CEO of KPMG South Africa.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by ABSA CIB, named Best Cash Management Services in Africa at the 2025 EMEA Finance Treasury Services Awards.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
Walking the talk indeed, 702-25 to 12. My guest, Dan Wolf, is a psychologist, and he is with the Houghton House Center, where he is director. We're talking about, as a family, how do we help those who are bedeviled by addiction of any sort, who are suffering from any addiction? How do we become present for them? How do we lift them out of that situation? Before we even forget, before the moment passes, we had a chat with Paul prior to the Eyewitness News headlines. And I think, Dan, maybe let's start there so that we do justice to it. And I'm sure you'd remember that Paul was referring to his son, who is going through quite a lot. And as a result, the family doesn't know how to help.
Okay, well, first of all, I just want to commend Paul because, what one sees is the ongoing tenacity of family members, how they persist in trying to preserve the sanity and to reach out to their loved ones. And that cannot be underestimated because it's not common to all families. There are many families where the message is very clear from day one and there's a very clear boundary put in place, and there's no shortage of people who cannot turn to their families for help. And why I'm emphasizing this is because I don't want Paul to underestimate the effect that a family extending themselves, even when it seems futile, actually has. Now, Paul spoke about Niopi, which I want to just mention for those who don't know it.
Sure.
There was, before 94, there wasn't a huge amount of heroin in South Africa, but, when drugs, the illicit drugs started flowing into the country, heroin unfortunately was one of them. And the reality is that what we now have is an absolute epidemic of young guys mixing cannabis and heroin and smoking it. And Paul's son is one of many who you used the word bedeviled, and that's what it sounds like. You've got this young guy in the house who is absolutely bedeviled. Paul's wife cannot leave her handbag lying around. Anyone who's got a cell phone knows that you just can't leave that lying around. It just looks like quick cash and the next hit. And so what does one do? I believe in these situations, and I'm just kind of speaking to the phrases you've used. You spoke about the family taking the person out of the addiction. And sometimes what one needs to evaluate is what is the more workable part of the equation? who actually is wanting the help? Is it the family, or is it the individual who they are investing hours and time and effort to try and deal with constructively? So I believe, in response to Paul, the focus of treatment going forward can no longer be the son. It's not about getting him well. It's about creating appropriate boundaries where he understands where he stops and the rest of the world begin.
Yeah.
Because when you are dealing with a young person as if they are an extension of you, you're actually communicating an unhelpful message to them. The message being communicated is you don't need to become independent. When there's a crisis, we jump in and sort it out. And I think that what I want to highlight here is so many of these individuals are struggling with what I often refer to as a quarter-life crisis. They're having to make a transition from adolescence into adult life.
Yes.
And that is a very difficult stage of life. And, you know, there's some very idealistic views of self-actualization, but in reality, I look around at people who are showing up for life, who are getting up, who are working, and who are finding a job, who are making an effort to live constructively.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, those are the kind of expectations that need to be communicated to young people, that this is not about what our expectations of you. Whether you want to use drugs or drink alcohol, that's not the focus right now. The focus here is we want you to become independent. Now, obviously, your relationship with drugs, and certainly in the case of heroin use, is going to compromise that. But the message needs to be, we are not going to tolerate you hijacking our home. I mean, he described a scenario where there are other children. Can you imagine how infuriated they are?
Yeah.
And so I think the whole focus going forward needs to be restructured.
Can they come for help? Should they knock at the door and say, we've been trying this for some time, now we need help from outside?
Yes, so certainly what we need to understand here, when it comes to addiction, help is not a once-off thing, because in essence, what I'm talking about is a child. This, you know, you find mothers that love their children despite the most depraved behaviors that have been inflicted on the family. And so what we're talking about is asking the family to actually act unnaturally.
Yeah.
And it's very common for families to be split and for there to be huge conflict in that, because it may be very clear to the father and the daughter the way mom has to act.
Yes.
And unfortunately, mom is absolutely hooked in and cannot bring herself to not provide her child with X, Y, and Z. And so and there are fantastic support groups available. We at Houghton House, we run every Thursday night a family support group where family members come together and they're open about the mistakes they've made and are able to then draw on the support of others. And there are, just like there's Narcotics Anonymous, which is a group that meets, their meetings every night of the week that focuses, it's for the support of the addict, or Gamblers Anonymous.
Yeah.
There are equivalent family programs, Nor-Anon, where the first step of the program is not, I was powerless over my addiction and my life has become unmanageable. They say, I am powerless over the addict, or I'm, and that has caused my life to become unmanageable. So I guess, you know, the extent of what's available does to some extent depend on what is practical for the family.
Dan, I have a couple of calls, so we're going to move a bit swiftly. Nicola is from Joburg South. Nicola, hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm free. How are you, Nicola?
Good, man. Man, I just wanted to, thanks for the opportunity, man. I just wanted to get in here. I'm 25 years sober, and I started using at the age of 11, and I was hooked for 11 years. Very grateful to be, to have broken free. It's not an easy journey to come out of there, you know. And I have the opportunity today to work in the field, not as much as I want to. But I believe my road will be extended as we're going on. But I wanted to just come in also with two things in rehabs. I know rehabs is very expensive these days, and parents are now on the verge where they're saying that I take the wrong child. I don't know this child.
Yes.
You know, I really don't know this child. And parents often, they give up on their child because they're so uneducated about the topic. They just don't know. They've lost, the child has lost their will. You know, even this nyaupe, we look, it's a everyday thing. I've got so many people that are hooked into this thing. You know, and these guys are educating us about it. You know, I was on crack, so I don't really know what this is, but they are getting sick if they don't do this. It lost about 5 hours in their system. So by the last 30 minutes or hour, they need to fight to get the next fix going. Otherwise, you know, they get sick. You know, and so in rehabs, what I've discovered, because I'm also partnered up with a couple of rehabs and everything. So in rehabs, so not everyone can go to a paid facility, because you're looking at 20K. You know, I think the cheapest one is 5K, 10K, 20K, 50K. You know, and it goes up and everything. So, but in government, I just feel like government really. You know, they are letting us down here.
Yeah. Nicola, let's leave it at that and give Victor a chance. I'm going to ask Dan to respond to that. Thanks for your call, Nicola, in Joburg South. Victor, you are in Joburg. Hi.
Hi, Tabo. I hope you're well.
I'm trying. I hope you're well too.
That's great. My brother, I can't say I'm well. I have a serious problem with my children. Well, they are not kids anymore.
Yeah.
I've got three. The two older ones, one is 33, and she's a girl, and the other one is 30, he's a boy. They are hooked on marijuana. They smoke marijuana like nobody's business. But on top of that, they drink this thing. It's a children's flu cough mixture.
Oh, yes.
They mix that with soft drinks, and then they get a high from that. And the last one, my last kid, is 16 and is in grade 10, and I'm afraid that he's gonna copy them. You know, I've tried. I've reached my tether with these two ones because I've tried to speak to them, and to no avail. You know, what do I do with this other one? I really don't know what to do because children learn by seeing.
Yeah.
Even if you can speak to them until the cows come home.
Yeah. Okay. Victor, I'm going to ask you to listen on the radio, but also before
right.
you go, I want to thank you for opening up to us, and I think you are taking a step towards the right direction. And I'm sure, as you know, there won't be just a 1-minute solution to this. It will be a journey. I'm going to ask Dan to respond to you. Please listen on the radio. I have to take a break right now. Dan, I'm going to ask you to note those two concerns that have come through, and then after that we'll address them. It's 12 minutes to 12.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
How deep is the crisis at the RAF?
It's a train wreck. The road accident fund gets allocated about 50 billion rand a year. They spend about 43 billion. They used to settle about 253,000 claims with that money, 43 billion. They now settle about 63,000 with the same money, while claims are lying unattended.
Is it because the claims have gone up?
It's because the process has become inefficient.
Sengers or ZB.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
You can become a victim of a legal problem. Wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our new Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetall.com today. Sweetall, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
Day 20, awaiting proof of payment. Day 30, still waiting. Day 40, funds finally cleared. In business, credit with 55 interest-free days keeps you moving. We get it. Get an ABSA Business Credit Card. Use over 50% of your credit and initiation fees will be on us. Offer ends 31 December 2025. Apply at absa.co.za/business. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply. ABSA, your story matters.
For more about 702,
go to primemediaplus.com.
011-883-0702. Dan, we had some two interesting calls. Nicola obviously was just lamenting the fact that government needs to do more, especially given that the costs of going to a rehabilitation outlet are very exorbitant. And obviously Victor now spoke about the three children. One is 16 years old and may follow the example of the two older siblings.
Okay, so just to try and look at the commonality over here, for a start, we're talking about two substances, and I think, when one talks about addiction, people often immediately assume that there is physical dependence. But what Nicola and what Victor is speaking about, the cough mixture, which is mixed with cold drink. Back in the day, it used to be Fenzadol, and now there are all sorts of other. I mean, these are codeine-based.
Yes.
Which is a synthetic opiate, and people become physically dependent on the substance. In the same way as with heroin, people become physically addicted. And obviously, that kind of escalates the situation in terms of what a person is prepared to do in order to get the addiction. But at the same time, when I hear Victor's story of these people who've been smoking weed, we're living in a culture that normalizes cannabis use.
Yes.
And that is very unfortunate, and not necessarily because of this idea that, you use cannabis, you're going to be using lean, rather because it is a substance that compromises people's capacity to live constructively. And I'm not talking about someone who smokes the occasional joint on occasions. I'm talking about people who have a relationship with a substance that unfortunately are severely compromised.
Sure.
So regarding the 16-year-old, I can't help but think, looking at the older siblings, they're not exactly great adverts for cannabis use and codeine addiction. It doesn't sound like they kind of firing on all cylinders, and I would encourage the father to openly discuss with the 16-year-old the extent of the destruction that they are wreaking in their own lives. But I think something which cannot be underestimated, and I want to come back to Nicola's scenario, is when you're looking at a scenario, you have to be able to see, is this a good prognosis case? Is this the kind of case which is likely to respond to treatment? And I am often open with families, and I explain to them, particularly if they're not on a medical aid, because, if you're on a medical aid, which is a small percentage, but that's the population that we deal with at Houghton House, then they're fully covered, and they're very fortunate in that regard. But if you're not on a medical aid and the family is going to privately fund a treatment program, then one's got to evaluate, is this a good prognosis situation? And that is not hard to tell. If an individual has never been successful at anything in their life and they've got a world of underlying psychiatric conditions, and you're now going to kind of draw money out of your bond and invest it in a brief treatment program, the chances of that being successful are unlikely, and the impact on the family is going to be dramatic. And so one always has to have a sound assessment or evaluation of the situation done prior to funding a treatment process.
Sure. We have about 2 minutes left, and I have some interesting engagements on the text platform here on WhatsApp. This one says, Morning 702, please share this anonymously. My husband of 19 years is an addict. His drug of choice has always been weed, but on occasion would do harder drugs. He's not in active addiction right now. It's been months that he's been clean because I gave him multiple ultimatums. One of them was that he goes to rehab. Unfortunately, for financial reasons, we deferred rehab until we can afford it. In the interim, he's been doing NA meetings quite frequently. He's present with us, working hard at work. Is rehab really necessary? I want to be hopeful, but I'm also nervous that things will revert because we are in a very comfortable space right now. Briefly, Dan?
Okay, so here we're dealing with a scenario where I could immediately tell there is opportunity, because you're dealing with a man who is married, he's got children, he is working hard from what it sounds like. There's a lot to live for. And he's managing to stay clean, so he's obviously not wanting to let go of what's playing out. But at the same time, it doesn't sound like a happy scenario. And so in reality, someone who's just kind of hanging on by their fingernails is unlikely to sustain recovery. Recovery is a very different scenario to just remaining abstinent. Because they're fundamental shifts, and those shifts may be a need for psychiatric input, psychological input. So I wouldn't underestimate the benefit he could still get.
We have about a minute. I'm going to try to squeeze in two messages. I had a 13-year battle with drug addictions, went into 7 November 2021. I'm clean 4 years now, and today is my 18th wedding anniversary. Addiction is more a spiritual battle as much as it is a physical one. You got to want not to think of it as a holiday. This is the only time to be selfish. Good morning, Tawa and the team. I'm an alcoholic and I believe my life was saved by technology. I'm blessed to have data and a laptop to benefit from technology. I joined AA meeting on Zoom, to which I've been going most days since I have joined. I've been sober for 1,134 days. I really feel safe on Zoom. And this is the one that I wanted you to just in 10 seconds, if you can, 20. Please ask his views on using court order to force an addict to stay in rehab against their will.
The court order is underestimated because if a family gets involved and is willing to go against their grain and to get the court order, there isn't necessarily their resistance prior to treatment is not necessarily the same position the person will adopt. They may very well, as time unfolds, feel grateful to the family for going to such effort.
Dan Wolf, thanks very much. Dan Wolf is psychologist and director at Houghton House Centre. Thanks for your time.
That's a great pleasure.
2 to 12.
As leaders in renewable energy finance,
Nedbank has a track record spanning over 100 years. From pioneering large-scale solar and wind farms to financing complex energy infrastructure in emerging markets, Nedbank offers clients deep sector expertise, combined with the ability to navigate the unique challenges of Africa's just energy transition. See money differently. Nedbank. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is streets ahead. Warrior Paints. Affordable, lasting luxury.
Coming up
On the Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
Midday Report, she's right in front of me. Good morning.
Good morning, Tabo.
What's coming up? I nearly called you Wendy, but you've had this conversation with many people already, so we won't delve into... What's coming up?
Duduzile Zuma, that is her name, has pleaded not guilty to inciting violence and terrorism. The SAHRC has released a report that reveals 43% compliance with the July 2021 unrest recommendations. That's pretty low. We'll find out about that. Prominent Zimbabwean opposition leader Job Sikhala is appearing in court. The latest from the Matlala Commission, the TRC inquiry has also begun. The ad hoc committee in Parliament, we are a country of inquiries. And we'll wrap up a really exciting weekend of sport. Did you watch any of it?
Sadly not.
Oh, really?
Sadly not. Boring. I had plenty of work to do.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry for you.
But we can catch all that and more between 12 and 1 with Mandy Wiener. Thanks for spoiling me and indulging me with your time. Have a lovely one.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon. I'm